Good morning, you're listening to coverage on Cows Live, Britain's longest running special event radio station. Simon Viger here at the Squadron Match-in out on the B&G Instruments commentary rib, and we are 10 minutes away now from the start of the J70s. Here's course confirmation for the J70s. East Bay starboard, Timo Marine starboard, Hill Head starboard, East Knoll starboard, Royal Southern finish. And that's the course for the first race of the J70s. So the line there out at Royal Southern for the finish of their first race. So J70 is just 10 minutes away from their start. And how's it looking, Lawrence Mead, from the regatta and the race officers? How's it looking at the moment?
It's looking great. You can't beat a Cows Week day, and it's great to see all the sails back out here. I'd forgotten just how crowded it does look when you're standing up here looking at all the... I know it's crowded for the competitors on the water, but it's lovely to be back. It's great to see all the boats, a bit of sunshine, and nice forecast. Wonderful. Very happy.
Marvellous. Well, we look forward to it. Yeah, the first start is the J70s at 10:45, and everybody heading off to the west to start with anyway.
Yes, everybody's going to go west from here, so they'll be beating up. Interesting tactical challenge about how far in to come out of the tide, so it should be an exciting start. The J70s have got a slightly longer beat than the SB20s. When the course comes out for the SB20s, they're only going as far as Gurnard and then back off to the north. The SB20s, because there's nearly 40 of them, we've sent them up to East Bay a little further just to separate them out. It's a starboard rounding, so not a lot of them will be doing a lot of starboard roundings in their regular racing. So having been caught myself in a Cows Week race in a starboard rounding, we thought we'd give the J70s a bit of a longer beat. And then, of course, we've got a little fire break, 5 minutes, and then we go into IRC One. So we've got this interesting challenge, or not interesting challenge, but we've got this interesting new scenario where we mix the different boats, smallers and biggers, and after we've got the big IRCs, we switch back into the Mermaids and the Victories and the XODs. So I'm hoping the start will be interesting for everybody.
I'm sure it will be. Tell us about the Cape 31s, because they're a new class this year, aren't they? And they will be starting on the squadron line today.
Yes, Cape 31's new. I'm not exactly sure how many have made the start line. We had 11 entrants. I think next year we could easily have 20. It's a class that's really growing very quickly. Amazing boats. I did a Tuesday night race here in Cows on one of them, and it was about 8-9 knots of wind. Nothing, wasn't that exciting. We had an 11-knot puff for about 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, and we must have tripled or quadrupled our lead on the boats behind, who were good boats. Once they're up and planing, they are seriously fast boats. Actually, it's an interesting problem for the course setters, because if the wind does come up as forecast, they'll be doing 16, 17, 18 knots with the spinnakers up, and if it doesn't quite do it, they'll be doing 6. So how long do you make a race that's meant to be 3 hours for a boat that varies in speed between 7 knots and 20 knots?
Yeah, and just quickly before you go, on the club cruisers and the different cruiser classes, that's new this year, isn't it? How are numbers in the club cruiser class?
Good, yeah, very good. We've one day, 2 weeks ago, we had 16, 17 entrants in one 24-hour period, and 7 or 8 of them were club cruisers. That seems to be very popular. They've got a relatively easier course, not too much short tacking up the beach for club cruisers. But they're an important part of the regatta. It's meant to be a fun regatta for families, for for high-end Corinthian and professional crews. Everybody should be able to come to Cows, find a class they can race in and enjoy. And we do flying 15s, which you'll remember from the old days was Duke of Edinburgh's class for a while, all the way up to Oyster Catcher was a brand new Carkeek 53. So it's a great smorgasbord, if I can use that word, of all the boats that can possibly race.
It's what Cows Week's all about. It's about having the new classes like the Cape 31 class, right through to the Solar Sunbeams and the XODs and the Flying 15s, which of course are the best classes. Thanks very much indeed.
No problem at all. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. That's Lawrence Mead, the regatta director, and of course Lawrence getting the regatta all set up here, and all the race officers who are running the racing each day helping him out with that. So more and more J70s coming out. We were about to get a gun, I think, it will be 5 minutes to go until the start of the J70s. So everybody's synchronising their watches. The J70 starting at 11:15. Our first start. Here we go. First gun with 5 minutes to go until the start of the J70s, and they'll be followed by the SB20s at 10 to 11. Simon Weiger here at the Squadron, and out on the B&G Instruments commentary rib, Matt Sheehan. Who have you got, Matt?
Well, I'm out on the outer end of the J70 line. We've scored our first success of the day in making the timer work, which is excellent. That's something else I haven't had before, so that's good. And yeah, we just had a little puff come through, which actually took the breeze up to about 12 knots. It's just dropped back a little bit now, and I think we're going to see these little puffs looking at the breeze at the moment between sort of 8 and 12 knots as they go up the beat. And as Lawrence said, that the tactical decision for them is how far in on the beach do you go, because you go in close to the beach and you get out of the tide, but there's a risk you get out of the wind. But in Cowes Week, usually tide versus wind, it's the tide that wins, if you see what I mean. And I suspect we'll see the bulk of the fleet going right in towards the beach, tacking their way all the way up to the headland, and then heading on to their first mark.
So more than 30 J70s getting ready for their first start of 3 races here today, but only 1 start on the Squadron line, and this is it coming up. 3.5 minutes to go. A big class. Lots of young sailors in this class, and some good names as well. We've got Jelvis, and we've got Geisha, and we've got Powder Monkey, and Annunciata. Look out for 1, 2, 3, Annunciata. Very posh. Jellyfish, Jenga, and there are, how many? 4 or 5 from the Royal Thames Yacht Club Academy. So they are well represented here in the J70s with 3 minutes to go. 12:03 closest to the Squadron, which is chaotic. They're just bearing away, and behind them it's 118. And the J70s, I think mostly with white sails. Are they all white sails? We've got some dark grey sails in the SB20s among this bunch, but they won't be starting now. It'll be the J70s, some of them with their jibs furled, just bobbing around. Are you at the...
Some of them are looking remarkably relaxed, I have to say, Simon. We've got 2 minutes and 23 seconds to go, and there's a few still sitting there with their jibs furled up. I think I prefer to be sailing up and down the line and getting up to speed, but there we go. Maybe they have a secret plan in mind, but the bulk of the fleet already looks like it's sort of got its mind on starting down at your end of the line, the Squadron end, which I'm not surprised at in order to get out of the tide.
Jalapeno just tacked close to the Squadron with a chili on the painted on the hull there. 12:10. They're looking back, checking out where the line is, and Calypso just jibing with Maltese cross on Calypso. That is 14:52. And it's 1 minute and 35 seconds to go until our first start. Isn't it great to be back? After the interregnum of 2020, we're back for the first start here on the first day of Cowes Week. Good breeze, sunny spells, and all is well in the world. The race officers counting down now to the 1 minute hooter. We've got one with its jib furled just right on the line at the moment. 12:48 is DSP. They're just bearing away now and heading back over the right side of the line. Race officers working out who's over and who is not. This is not the start. That will be in 56 seconds from now. DSP just near the line, out of the outer end, 744, which is one of the Royal Thames Yacht Club 3. They're just reaching down now with the jib flapping. The big yellow inflatable mark is the outer limit of this part of the start line for the smaller boats, the white group. Who have you got, Matt?
Well, we've got 742 and 123 out here at the outer end of the line. And one of the things that strikes me with 25 seconds to go is that there's quite a pile-up down your end, or at least a bunch-up, let's say, not a pile-up. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the boats that are in the middle of the line actually come out of this a lot better, because they've got clearer air. They're not going to be as affected by their competitors. We've got less than 10 seconds to go.
It's very busy down here at the Squadron, with the race officers calling out sail numbers the whole time. Are we going to get not a general recall first race? individual recall. So over they go, and 118 tacking on the line there. And the race officers calling out the sail numbers of the boats that are over. 1572 Brutus 2 heading in towards the Esplanade. 1210 Jalapeno is just tacking further up the line. 972, they seem to have had a good start. That's Yeti. That's a familiar name in this class. I can't see anybody turning. Can you see anybody turning back, Matt?
No, I can't. And actually, we were looking straight down the line at the start, and the bulk of the offenders were all down at the squadron end. And there was quite a lot of them. I would guess it's sort of 5 or 6 of them that looked to me to be OCS. Obviously, I'm not the official word on it, but there was a bulk down there. No one has actually turned back. Interestingly, they are doing quite well. You can see in that little area that they're sailing in now, there's about 300 meters of that area where the tide is actually going to the west. So there's a big benefit in being down in there. And I suspect that's partly why some of them got swept over the line at the start. But the bulk of the boats that are doing well in that inshore end of the fleet, I suspect, may well have been OCS on that start.
So the J70s are away. I haven't seen anybody come back, but definitely an individual recall for a few boats in the J70 class. And now we get straight into the start sequence for the SB20s, who are starting in 3.5 minutes' time. Here's course confirmation for the SB20s in their first race of the day. Gurnard starboard, Timo Marine starboard, Hill Head starboard, East Knoll starboard, Royal Southern finish. And that's the first race, race 1 for the SB20s. So a committee boat finish for them, and then they will wait around there and start their second race. But the predicted finish time for race 1 is just before midday. And the SB20s, a smaller class, smaller than the J70s, who are still tacking up past the beach.
Yeah, just a quick word on that before we focus on the SB20s, and that's that 123, which is the J70 with the Spitfire down the side of it, started quite a long way out towards the pin end of the line, which is not necessarily the favoured end, but they've had clear air all the way off this start. I think they've got themselves into a very nice position, and if I was on the SB20s, I'd be looking quite carefully at who comes out of this first 5 minutes looking good in the J70s.
Well, that is 123 is Annunziata. I mentioned earlier on in the J70s, 123. So yeah, it's very crowded down here at the squadron, but the class size for the SB20s, the number of boats is like half the number that we had in the J70s. So those white J70s heading off, and now we've got the shorter masts on the SB20s with the grey sails getting ready for their start in just under 2 minutes' time.
Yeah, they've got, because it's a smaller fleet here, it's going to be much easier to actually get some clear air, so you can actually pick your spot. You can afford to be closer in towards the squadron and not get yourself boxed in. But that's definitely what happened with the J70s. Those that went into the shore, if you weren't one of the few that managed to break free, you were stuck in dirty air and having your tactics dictated to you by your competitors. That's not the case with the SB20s, or it shouldn't be, because there's fewer of them. But nevertheless, there doesn't appear to be as big an advantage of going a long way inshore as you'd normally expect to see. I suspect that's because there's just that bit more breeze halfway out here along the line. And if I'd been watching the J70 fleet and was starting now, I think I'd be looking at starting halfway along the line, hedging my bets with a stronger breeze.
So this is the 1 minute hooter for the SB20s, and it's a classic Cowswick sight now with the sunny spells and these shiny sails just gleaming in the sunshine here. Nice breeze on day 1 of the regatta, and leading them in is 3750, which is Glasgow Kiss. Oh, I wonder if they've got what sort of picture they've got on their stern on the Glasgow Kiss. 3758 also heading into the line, breaking bod, and the race officers calling out the sail numbers, trying to work out if anybody's over with 20 seconds to go. It looks good to me at the moment, but they're mostly heading in towards the squadron, Matt.
Yes, they are. There's no one beyond halfway out on this line. We're alongside 3368, the most windward boat of the fleet. and they are all a fair bit off the line. Actually, this is.
They're all clear, so a good start here. They'll have to tack first though, but a good start leading over the line is 3758, which is breaking bod. Doesn't seem to be quite as much wind as there was for the J70s though.
No, there was definitely a lull there, and breaking bod actually got the best start by a boat length or two on the rest of the fleet, but sailed into a bit of a hole and slowed down. They're now rolling into attack. They're going to have to come out of there on port with everybody else coming in on starboard. Hopefully they will have gained enough, but they definitely had a good start and then lost out within a few seconds.
Yeah, they've had to tack again because 3750 coming on top of them there, which is Glasgow Kiss. So breaking bod lost a lot of boat speed there. Glasgow Kiss heading in towards the spectators on the Esplanade. 3556 just tacking Herbie, and up near you you've got
3095 is the furthest out, and 3584. And I have to say once again, this, I think, going inshore is at the moment, it's not the way to get off this start line quickly. These guys out here have got clearer air. The breeze has dropped back. It's only about 7.5, 8 knots out here, but it's clean and they can keep their speed going. And 3095 and 3584 are just pulling themselves away from the fleet.
Yeah, that's Mutts, Nuts and Boomerang.
Yeah, Boomerang's just rolled into attack. There is a lot of, I have to say, we're just alongside a mooring buoy now, and there's a lot of tide out here. I mean, you can see why there's an incentive to go inshore, but like I keep saying, there's definitely more breeze. We've just had another puff, taking it up to 10 knots of breeze out here, and it's not reaching the boats in on the shore.
So a good start there for Mutts, Nuts and Boomerang, and now we have a break in proceedings because the next start it will be at 11 o'clock. The first start in Black Group for Class Zero. The SB20s getting away, not coming, those closest to the squadron, not coming in too close to the beach. Mutts, Nuts and Boomerang further out with a good start, 3095. The blue hull of Mutts, Nuts just tacking again. And the SB20s are away. Of the bunch closest to the beach here, I can't see the sail number, but it's an all-white hull and actually mostly white hulls. Boomerang still going strongly, but there seems to have been a bit of a pickup in the breeze here close to Cowes, close to the beach, and the SB20s heading off on their race. So you will have Class Zero as your first big boats in Black Group.
Indeed, yes. I'm just following the SB20s up their beat because it's very interesting. As you were talking it through, a sort of bullet of breeze rolled down the shoreline there and got the boats that were close to the shoreline. There was also a left-hand shift in it, so it meant they could all lift up as well. So they got a double bonus there, but it was very short-lived. That little gust rolled through, but it seems that it's getting off that start line. You need clear air halfway down the line, and then you need to get in towards the beach. Trying to get in towards the beach really early seems like being a big risk in this breeze. Interestingly, the SB20s are actually catching up the back end of the J70s, which is an indication of how up and down this breeze is, because as I look towards the headland up at the top, the J70s, some of them in by the beach, are really struggling for air. They're sitting down to leeward, trying to roll the boat over. It's a lot lighter there, and then in comes another bullet for the guys at the front. So I think it's going to be that kind of a day, particularly if you get close to the shore. The breeze is going to be up and down and shifty and all over the place. Just the stuff we love at Cowsley.
Yeah, great conditions for day one, and Class Zero starting at 11 o'clock. Here's course confirmation for Class Zero, IRC Zero. Kilburn and Strode Patents, Port, Draycott's, Port, West Leap, Port, Colton, Port, John Ranger, Port, South Bramble, starboard, Goodall Roofing, starboard, Gamma, past a port, line. It's the Royal Yacht Squadron line for the finish, and predicted finish time for Class Zero at 2:36, Matt.
Just in time for a late lunch.
So they're heading way out west. Try and let you know which the furthest. Kilburn and Strode Patents is a new one on me. How far out is that? Oh, it's over towards Leap Spit, or beyond Leap Spit.
I missed the first 2 marks of the course because we were just dealing. We're actually a drone pad this year as well, which is quite exciting. So I'm learning new skills as to how to position the boat to try and get the drone back on board.
Okay, well they've got to go over to the North Island shore to Kilburn and Strode Patents and go round to port, and then they've got to go around Draycott's to port, which is down near Burthon. So heading way out west there.
Right.
West Leap is their third mark.
Is their third mark?
Yeah.
And their first mark again is?
It's called Kilburn and Strode Patents.
Okay.
And it's just southwest of Leap Spit.
Okay.
But they've got to leave that to port. Anyway, 5 minutes, no, less than 5 minutes, 4 minutes to go until they start. Class Zero as the J70s and the SB20s head off on their race. This will be the first of the big boats starting on the outer line. The black group are the big boats, and in these various handicap classes.
It's surprising how big, having just looked at J70s and SB20s, you come alongside a Fast 40 Plus and they look huge. And I have to keep reminding myself they are only 40 foot long. There's quite a few of them out here. I can see Ram, we're alongside Ram, we're along 50. I'm not sure who 50 is actually. I recognise the boat, but it's been repainted and I'm not sure who that is. Just coming around the back. It's something.
The Gene Genie.
Gene Genie, there we go. Gene Genie.
So the David Bowie fan there.
But yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys start, because there's an awful lot of knowledge and talent on the back of a lot of these boats here. These are some of the country, if not the world's best navigators, and particularly Solent navigators here. And they know their stuff when they're going up the beat. But it sounds like they'll be heading in towards the beach as well. But maybe I'd be surprised if they were actually going to fight for the inner end of the line in these big boats. It's too much of a risk for them getting caught in there. I suspect they're going to start somewhere mid-line, head in towards the beach, a couple of tacks along the shore, and then they're going to be, well, it's then a decision whether they follow the shoreline as they head west or not.
2 minutes and 15 to go until the start of Class Zero. And we've got a break in the proceedings for the white group, the smaller boats. In fact, the next start will be at 11:55 for the Etchells, close to the squadron. So it's all black group now, with starts almost every 5 minutes. There are a couple of breaks in there. But the biggest boats in the regatta now have the 11 o'clock hour to themselves, with a minute and 45 to go.
One to watch out for in particular is Gladiator, big 52-footer. Got plenty of branding on their mainsail. I think it says cement. Strangely, not something you normally see on a. But they, Tony Langley's boat with a crew, mainly a crew of sailors who have spent a lot of time racing around the Solent. They could probably race around the course with their eyes shut. But they're going. Oh, there we go. Our drone's safely back on board. That's good. Some rather. Our photographer kisses his drone when it comes back on board, just to encourage it back in the future.
That's how expensive it is.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't normally look stressed, actually. I've worked with Richard for many, many years, but put a drone in his hand, fire it up, and he looks stressed from the minute it leaves his hand. 1 minute to go until the start of the big boats. And Gladiator making her way in. A couple of fast 40s. Gene Genie just putting a tack in at the outer end of the line. These boats, as I suspected, are aiming to start towards the outer end of the line to capitalise on that stronger breeze and then head in towards the beach. And well, interesting, 25 seconds to go, and Gladiator has actually got 3 fast 40s in front of them, which is going to affect their breeze as they come in towards this start. A bit of a battle going on between Gene Genie and 1542 just to get around that pin end. Gene Genie trying to squeeze 1542 out, but they didn't in the end. And it's going to be
Kumbu.
clean as they come in towards the line.
All clear. Kumbu is 1542.
Okay, well, the best start of that was definitely Genie. They hit the line on time, at speed, with clear air. Gladiator, I have to say, didn't make a very good fist of that, I'm afraid. They got themselves buried behind 3 fast 40s, which is not a great way to start, and they've been forced to tack off onto port. The other boat that made a good start, but they were later at the line, was Ron, Nicholas Zenstrom's fast 40 plus. They have got clear air and they started to windward, but sort of settled down a little bit now. But Genie got the best start of I would say of the group. They're going to make their way in towards the beach and be able to tack when they want to tack, so long as they keep the pace on. Ron, interestingly, that's interesting. So the guys at the front, Genie is squeezing as high as they possibly can to try and force the others behind them into their dirty air, which they've done quite successfully, and have forced the other two, including Ron, to tack off on port into the stronger tide. Looking further out towards the north, where Gladiator was forced to tack away because of the dirty air, they've lost out massively by being in that strong tide. They're a bigger boat, but I suspect their strategy is, that wasn't a great start, let's get out into the clear air. We've got the legs, we've got a bigger sail plan, we've got the speed, we can break through these fast 40s. Let's do it quickly, take the pain now and just get out into clear air.
So off they go. They'll be followed in 3 minutes and 20 seconds by Class 1, IRC One. Here's course confirmation for you, Class 1. Kilburn and Strode Patents round to port. Draycott's port. West Leap port. Berthon port. John Ranger port. South Bramble starboard. Goodall Roofing starboard. Gamma past to port line. It's RWS line 1, and a predicted finish for them of 2:45.
Well, the fast 40 fleet and IRC Zero not pushing into the beach as far as I thought they might. Maybe they were, I suspect they've been watching the smaller boats go off that start line and were saying, well, you could go in there and get the tidal benefit, but it's a big risk if the breeze drops. And I think they've decided just to keep the pace on. Of course, these boats are much, much quicker. Well, on all points of sail, but particularly upwind, they're much quicker than the smaller boats, the J70s, the SB20s. So the tide is less of a factor because they're going that much quicker. And then looking further out towards the west, well, we can see what Fiona was talking about this morning on the weather, about the risk of showers, and those clouds are sort of bubbling up, overdeveloping a little bit, and they're not turning into showers yet, but you can just see from the shape and the colour of them that there's pockets of breeze coming out of these clouds all over the Solent, and it's just trying to get into the areas where the stronger breeze is, because I suspect at least the first half of the day, if nothing else, is going to be about keeping an eye out for those pockets of breeze and just capitalising on the extra breeze. What class is that container ship in then, Simon?
Right, I'm back. Sorry about that, but we are rainproofing our equipment here. Not that we're going to get any rain, but on one day it will hose down, as we know. So
I just wonder what class that container ship's in, because I don't see a.
Well, it's definitely Black Group, isn't it?
I think it probably is Black Group. Yeah. There we go. 1 minute to go. Is that 1 minute? That 1 minute to go until
you've got
IRC
a minute.
One?
Yeah, you've got Class 1. It looks like they're going ahead, doesn't it? So the Rotterdam Star, the container ship, just steaming through the Solent on its way into Southampton.
The Class 1 fleet clearly been watching the Class 0 fleet start. They all want to start up at this outer end of the line, jockeying for position. We're just going to make sure that we don't get in the way of them as we just come round the front of this fleet. Fargo is the leewardmost of the fleet. That's Bertie Bickett's Fargo, brand new boat this year. Melgus 37, slightly modified, very quick boat. Oh, McFly, sorry, actually. McFly is actually the most lured boat of the lot as they come up to the start. Fargo's got a nice start there. They got clear air. They're up to speed. And they were the ones that were closest to the line. And then looking down the line, they were actually 2 boat lengths off the line. So everybody else was even further back. So a little bit of a shy start by the bulk of the fleet. But certainly the boat that got the best out of that was Bertie Bickett's Fargo, starting in the middle of the line, heading towards the beach. The risk for them at the moment is that the breeze has just dropped, and looking over towards the beach, you can see it's a lot lighter in by the shoreline, so they're going to need to... Oh, and just as I say that, of course, a gust rolls down across the course, the boat heels over a bit more, accelerates, and they get a little bit of a lift as well. So a double bonus there for Fargo, a good start and a bit of a lift. The boats out towards the outer end of the line have also got that extra breeze and the lift, so at the moment they're looking quite good. They're actually lifted even higher than Fargo. I don't think that's going to last, although just as I said that, the breeze bends around even further to the right. And I think it's this, we've got a lot of dark clouds. You may well be able to see them if you look down the beach from where you are, Simon, but the clouds have developed quite quickly in the last few minutes, and that's brought the breeze in. And if you were looking up the course, so in other words, if you're looking out towards the west, the Solent, the stronger breeze is definitely to the south of sort of that line. It's more to the island side as these clouds develop and drop the breeze down onto the course.
So off go IRC One. It'll be the new class Cape 31 starting next at 10 past 11. This is the course confirmation for the Cape 31s. Kilburn and Stroke Patents round to port. Laidmark 8J, port. West Leap, port. Dracons, port. John Ranger, port. South Bramble, starboard. Goodall Roofing, starboard. Gamma, past to port. Line, it's RYS line 1 for the finish, and again that's predicted at 2:45. They're coming in from Gamma, so as we heard from Lawrence earlier on, they're not going to be running finishes today. And if you're new to Cowswick and you're wondering what the heck I was talking about there, it's all the different buoys, all the different racing marks which are dotted all over the Solent, and the race course where you have to go around it a certain way to do the race legitimately, and that's what all of that meant. So the race crews know which way they're supposed to be going round on their race today, and then heading back to Cowes at the end.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Simon, because as you know, you and I are not new to Cowswick, but when you were speaking then, I felt like I was, because so many of the marks have changed their name this season, haven't they? Or maybe it's just because we've had 2 years out of it and the more marks have changed their names. But normally it's easy to visualise the course, but I find myself having to look down at the course map whilst you're calling out the course.
Yeah, Gamma is over at the breakwater finish line, what we sometimes call the Schrape finish line. So having to pass Gamma to port means they have got a hook round that before they then head in back over the finish line here at the squadron. The mark before that is Goodall Roofing for the Cape 31s. And is Goodall Roofing a new one?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's out near West Ryde Middle. It's between West Ryde Middle and North Ryde Middle.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets more confusing, folks. we've got a South Ryde Middle as well, and a South East Ryde Middle, and a North East Ryde Middle.
So we've got just coming up for 1 minute now until the start of the Cape 31s. This is the first time I've seen the Cape 31s, well, as a fleet anyway, and they look really exciting little boats. I like the look of these. Lots of new boats here, and an interesting set of decisions here. The fleet, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, spread quite evenly across the line. We've got Katabatic out here, out towards the outer end. Then we've got Giraffe, who is on the furthest most out on the line with 27 seconds to go until the start. They've all come up and had a sniff at the line. They've got their bowman out there looking at where the line is, and then they've been bearing away and sailing down it to stay behind it. Interesting that I think, is that Squirt 319X coming in on for a port tack start, which is pretty interesting and quite punchy. No, rolled over onto starboard. And then Nifty just roll her bow up. They're going to be quite close to the line. You've got a bunch of 4 of them down towards you at the start.
Yeah, we've got Sardonyx 319 with the pink sail numbers just close to the squadron. They've had a good start. No individual recalls. They're going to attack pretty soon. 311 is near them, which is Squirt. Sardonyx just attacking now, and so Squirt goes about as well. Behind them is 318 Harlequin and Giraffe with a yellow logo on its black sail further out near you, Matt. But yeah, Sardonyx looks like it's had a good start in here.
Yeah, they were certainly fighting for that inner part of the line. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Giraffe comes back. Giraffe started furthest outermost on the line and is coming in on starboard, so has rights on the rest of the fleet. They're looking under their boom, deciding what to do, whether to tack underneath them. I'm not sure I would. I think I'd just press on in there and get out of the tide, because there is tide here, and at the moment there is breeze inshore, and that little gust of breeze has now just benefited the group that tacked over onto port in front of you, and they've got a lift as well. They've made 20-30 meters just in the space of a few seconds. Giraffe has now got that gust, and the shift has gone the other way, so Giraffe is still on starboard, heading up, coming in, is going to force Nifty about. Nifty's going to have to force Squirt about. Squirt's going to have to force Catabatic about if they do, and then perfectly done by Giraffe. Giraffe forces everybody else to leeward over onto starboard, and they tack off onto port. Keep their clear air. Nicely done. Sail out, bit more speed on, they can tack back. Meanwhile, this is what happens if you get yourself caught up in a gaggle. There is only 4 of them, but they're all so keen to get close to that shore that they're actually slowing themselves down by being just bound up in each other's tactics. They've tacked over back onto port. Breeze comes down the shore, quite a big breeze actually. Going to about 12 knots of breeze. Lifted on port, so that's rather good for those inshore, but yeah, Giraffe then headed back out into the tide and unfortunately has lost out there. Unfortunately, it's always a big gamble. You always think you're never going to lose as much as you really do when you head out on port away from the shore. You think, oh, it'll be okay. It can't possibly be that much more tide. You go on another 20-30 meters and tack back and realise, yeah, shouldn't have done that. Easy to be wise after the event. But Sarah, what did you say that boat was called? Sarah Donix X seems to be leading the Cape 31 fleet at the moment, they've broken free. They've got some nice clear air now. Breeze has come up a fair bit, 10 to 12 knots now. Lots of people out here actually come out to watch the Cape 31s. They've certainly been one of the news stories in the build-up towards this year's event. Really exciting high-performance boats, as Lawrence was telling us earlier on. I definitely like one of these. They look great.
You've got IRC Two next. Here's the course for IRC Two ahead of their start, and then the latest sailing forecast. IRC Two, Kilburn and Strode Patents, round to port. Cowes Radio, port. West Leap, port. Draycott's, port. John Ranger, port. South Bramble, starboard. Goodall Roofing, starboard. Gamma, past to port, and then the finish line is RYS Line 1, predicted for Class 2 at around 2:30. That's the first mention of Cowes Radio. I presume Cowes Radio's over where she always is, or maybe they've moved Cowes Radio. Oh no, it's there. There we are. 2K in the Western Solent, in the middle of the Solent, and just right slap bang in the middle there. So Cowes Radio, well done. Good first mention of Cowes Radio there.
Well, hey.
45 seconds to go until the start of Class 2, with 17 in this class, and a couple of them coming in close to the squadron. 3958, one of the leading boats there, which is duped. Who have you got, Matt?
Well, one of the boats that I've been keeping my eye on is Leon, David Franks, and he's a regular sailor in the Solent. He's got a very good crew on board, and they know the Solent like the back of their hand, and they're starting mid-line. So for me in this class, that's going to be my datum. Also because they're the easiest boat to spot, because they've got a great big Leon logo down the side, and they're heading down towards your end. They're right up on the line. They got themselves nicely up there. They got 3 seconds to go. They're up to speed. They are at risk of being covered by someone, I can't see who that was. It's the Beneteau just behind them.
We've got Yes closest to the squadron, and they've had a good start. Jute, Yes, just going about, and so does Jute. Leon further up the line, still on starboard, so they've got right away, and it looks, are they going to get round the front? But Jute and Yes have tacked onto port, and are they going to get round the front of Leon? It's going to be close. Who can you see, Matt?
Well, we've got we've got Lancelot out here at this end. We've got some of the Beneteaus, and we've got a J120 out here, taking
Leon,
a more conservative start.
Leon have got it, so Jute and Yes go back onto starboard. So good start there for Leon, but those three having a cracking start. Just behind them, 7877 Tilt Racing, and Class 2 are away. It is 11:15. We've got starts every 5 minutes, a lot to pack in, but at 15:15 every hour here on Cowes Live, we get the latest sailing forecast, and here with it is Fiona Campbell.
Well, we've got this westerly wind trying to fill in, but it's very variable around the cloud, as we've seen. There's a little bit less here off the squadron, but there's a fairly steady breeze for those heading west. It's been in the 10 to 12 knot range. It's just starting to pick up now, touching 14 knots. Similarly, for those down in the eastern Solent, they've had a pretty steady breeze. Some of those larger clouds haven't quite got to them yet. So lots of variability around the cloud, but on the whole, varying from the west to west-southwesterly direction and around 10 to 15 knots. There are a few showers getting going over the mainland. Haven't quite got to us yet, but if we do get any of those, it means there's more variability in the wind. Fiona Campbell, Cowes Live.
The weather brought to you by 7-Star Yacht Transport, worldwide leader in yacht transport.
Thanks very much indeed, Fiona. So Class 2 heading off on their race. Leon got a great start there, and we'll have all the commentaries, all the course information here on Cowes Live 87.9 FM. Check out the Cowes Week website too for the great TV pictures of all of the starts and indeed the finishes too. Simon Viger here at the squadron, and out on the B&G Instruments commentary boat, it's Matt Sheehan. Are you still with Class 2, Matt?
Yes, we're just sort of at the back end of Class 2.
So Leon looking good there for their start, closely pursued by Jute and Yes, and you've got next starting will be Class 3, IRC 3, starting at 11:20, and then we'll have a breather, but it starts every 5 minutes. So here is the course confirmation for IRC 3. Kilburn and Strode Patents, round to port. Cowes Radio, port. West Leap, port. Draycott's, port. John Ranger, port. South Bramble, starboard. Goodall Roofing, starboard. Gamma past to port, line. It is RYS line 1. Predicted finish time for IRC 3 just after 2:30, and just over a minute and a half until their start here on day one of Cowes Week. We've got sunny spells, we've got quite a lot of cloud, there's just patches of blue sky, but we do have a breeze, which is the main thing, Matt.
It is indeed, yes. There seemed to be a period of years and years when the opening day of Cowes Week was characterised by absolutely no breeze and endless postponements, but we don't seem to have that nowadays, which is a good thing. Certainly the breeze has picked up. We're just making our way out towards the outer end of the line. The other thing that's picked up quite noticeably is the tide. That's just simply got stronger. That's 1 minute to go until IRC 3, but the tide has got stronger, which is making it trickier for these crews to figure out exactly how far back to hang from the line. It's yeah, they're all going down towards your end. Most of the fleet are down towards the squadron end of the line, and it's interesting looking at some of them that are lining up with 30 seconds to go that they're pretty much up to full speed and they're not making much progress against the tide.
Yeah, it's 3061 leading them in Class 3, which is Arcus. 5905, a J105 just attacking. That's Jos or Joss. Is it Jos the boss? Joss of Hamble, J105. They've gone on to port. and 3061 Arcus. The bowman telling them to point away, bear away with just a few seconds to go now. And they're all clear, so that actually is a good start for Arcus, which is a Archambault A35. And they just go round now onto port. But yeah, they're definitely fighting the tide much more now. 5905 behind them is Joss of Hamble, and then the black sail of 1250 Elaine again. Who have you got, Matt?
We got Malice coming out here. That's the HOD 35. Malice starting on port out at the pin end of the line. Nice bit of breeze, nicely shifted to the left as well, so they're on a good heading here. They are in a fair bit of tide, but they're doing pretty well. And I see that some of those boats down near you, Simon, are really struggling down in close to shore. So Malice could make a good bit of distance here, but they're going to have to get in across the tide to actually capitalise on that good start that they got. And at the moment, the breeze has just swung slightly to the right, and they need to tack and get across back out of the tide. Otherwise, they're going to lose the advantage that they gained at the early part of that start.
So away go Class 3, and we do have a bit of a break, a fire break, as Lawrence was calling it earlier on, of 10 minutes now, 10 minutes to gather our thoughts. But off go that first clutch of Black Group yachts, and starting close to the squadron, which is great to see that. And the next starters will be the HP 30s at 11:30. We'll have another batch of big boats then. At 11:55 we get to the day boats with the Etchells starting at 5 to 12. And all shapes and sizes here at Cowes Week, which is of course what makes it so special. Got from Flying 15s, and we've got an Etchells out here, but it's quite a while until we get their start. Yeah, off they go in Class 3, and the next ones will be the HP 30s. So here's course confirmation for the HP 30s with 8 competing. Kilburn and Strode Patents round to port. Laidmark 8J port. West Leap port. Draycott's port. John Ranger port. South Bramble starboard. Goodall Roofing starboard. Gamma past to port line. The squadron finish line predicted at 2:45 for the HP 30s. So they'll be starting at 11:30, and the start sequence going right through until almost 1 o'clock for the XODs, starting here at the Royal Yacht Squadron. One of the biggest classes, or the oldest class. So they will be coming out later on.
Well, it's getting a bit darker, as you probably noticed out here. There's a little hint of drizzle in the air, actually, but it's not really a shower. It's just a little bit of drizzle under this cloud. But it is that darker cloud that we saw working its way across the western Solent. It's brought the breeze up with it. We've had a maximum gust of about 14 knots, actually, but it's currently around 12 knots and dropping off a little bit now. And as this dark cloud rolls through, the tactical thing for the subsequent classes is this cloud going to be a feature of our start or not? And I suspect it won't be. I think the breeze is actually going to drop for their start, looking further to, and also shift in direction, because actually looking at the fleets that have just recently started, there's been a big left-hand shift in that breeze under the cloud, and as that cloud's gone through, it's dragged the breeze around to the left, but I think as it passes, it'll swing back to the right. So that's going to be one to watch for in the build-up to the next start, as to try and figure out where this cloud is going to be by the time they start, and whether it's worth going in towards the beach, or whether you can make your gains out to sea. And as that cloud came through, not the class we've just seen, which was IRC 3, but IRC 2 those that stayed out offshore were probably the only class of the whole morning to have benefited from staying out, because they had that big shift in the breeze and a bit more breeze with it. But I think they just got the bonus ball this morning. I think for the others, it's going to be a tricky balance between how far inshore do we go and how far inshore do we go to stay out of the tide versus how far offshore do we go to stay in the breeze. One of the other things that's quite noticeable, which you'd of course expect with wind over tide as opposed to wind against tide, is we've got very flat water. So you can definitely work the shifts quite easily without having to work your way over the steep, choppy waves that we often get here when we've got wind against tide. But it's wind over tide, making it flat conditions, good for working every shift there is.
Pandemonium just coming out in the HP 30 class with very distinctive orange stickers on the hull there.
They've been a regular visitor, sorry, not visitor, they live here. Regular competitor at Cowsweek. Pandemonium, that's a FAR 280. Great little boats, very quick.
Pegasus Deck Marks is FAR 30. They're a regular competitor as well. Jester is a Lutra 6, a Lutra 6 or a Lutra V130. Jester is 4986.
4986, just looking for them. Can't quite see them. Pandemonium would be certainly one to look out for. There's a number of these FAR 280s around. I'm not quite sure how many. I can see two. I know that my good friend Jerry Hill has just rebuilt one. That makes three, and there's another one here, 2801.
Yeah, that's Toucan.
Toucan. Oh, okay. Oh, well, they've been a regular competitor as well. And these FAR 280s get some great racing. They're very quick boats. They're brilliant fun to sail, and they're very closely matched. And I've raced in this class a few times and thoroughly enjoyed it every time. And what they lack in fleet numbers, they more than make up for in the fun that they are to sail and the close racing that they get between them. Pandemonium just jibing around, coming towards us. They seem to them and Toucan, as you can probably see anyway, Simon, looking like they really want to be on this inner end of the line. And it's interesting, we haven't been in here for a little while now, and I look up there and crikey, that looks patchy and tricky when you look at the breeze on the water up there. There are gusts, but they're definitely a lot more patchy than if you go out at the outer end of the line. So you've got to be ready to be nimble and tack on the shifts whilst also keeping the tide in mind. And talking of tide, right alongside the green mark that marks the channel entrance into the Medina, you can see that there's even in here where it's shallower, there's a lot of tide. So to get out of it, you've got to be fully committed all the way into the beach. Otherwise, you might as well have started halfway out along the line.
Yeah, that is number one, the green one, and number two is the other one. Is the red one, marking the
such evocative names,
marking the fairway there. But the blue inflatable one closest to the squadron, that's the inner distance mark. So nobody is allowed to start closer to the rocks than that. So they've got to go between the yellow inflatable and the blue inflatable, but marking the line for these starts. And I can feel some spits and spots of rain now.
Yeah,
Matt. So our wet weather plan is swinging into action here. Thanks very much to Grant, who's instituted the wet weather apparatus. So we're going to stay dry. Well, most of the equipment's going to stay dry.
1 minute to go before the start of the HP 30s. Pandemonium very keen to start on the inner end. You can almost read their sign language on board, and that was, we want to go inshore, which is exactly what they're doing, whereas their teammates are saying, not so sure about that. I think we're going to start further out along the line. That's probably a slightly more conservative way of starting. Pandemonium actually tacking over onto port with 27 seconds to go, but it's not an issue for them. What is an issue for them is I think they're quite a long way back from the line. I think they've misjudged this tide-wise. They've misjudged just how much tide there is, and they've been swept back. And we've got USA One, which is another FAR 280.
It's Peggy.
Peggy, coming in towards the shore. But once again, I think the boats that are going to come out of this looking better is Toucan 2801. It's the most windward boat of the HP30s.
Individual recall.
Interesting. Now I wonder who that will be, because I don't think it was no, it would be it looks like to me, I'd guess that was USA One, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were pretty close. We don't have the official word on who is judged over at the start, but they're certainly not turning back at the moment. So USA One.
I think it's probably them, but looking at these, they've got right in towards the shore, get out of the tide, roll over into attack. Good aggressive start, but when they come back out, I'm not convinced that they're going to be ahead of the group of 3 led by Toucan, who started further out on the line, and as they did so, a gust came in, and the reason the gust came in, it's starting to rain. So with that rain, they've got a fair bit more breeze has come in, and the breeze has shifted to the right. So Toucan's got a really nice start out of this. And now USA One has got more breeze in on the shore, and they've got lifted, and they're probably going to get back some of that advantage. And they're going to be on port tack. I don't think they can get across the front of them. I'm just trying to see who it is. Got number 12 on their bow. It's 4986 on starboard going in towards the shore. No, USA One can't get across their bow. Forced to tack in. Now they're being controlled.
Jester is
Jester, that's
4986.
Okay, so Jester now controlling this fleet, pushing the fleet in on starboard towards the beach. They can massive lift in the breeze there, unfortunately, just as the depth ran out, so they had to tack over onto port, so everybody comes out from the shore on a header. Meanwhile, Pandemonium crossing just behind that bunch going in on starboard. They were a bit shy of the line. I think they've hit the ground. So Pandemonium hit the ground there. There are some rocks just there, and they bounced off. Fortunately, as they hit the ground going in on starboard, they had enough momentum to swing the boat around onto port, and they're off now. But that is a notorious place to hit the rocks there, and they certainly found them.
So off go the HP30s, and we're back to starts every 5 minutes. It's the J109 starting in 2.5 minutes. Course confirmation for the J109s with 10 competing. Kilburn and Strode Patents round to port. Powderburn, port. East Leap, port. Laidmark 8J, port. South Bramble, starboard. West Ride Middle, starboard. Gamma past to port, line RYS line 1 for the finish, predicted at 20 to 3 for the J109s. 10 taking part, Matt, in this class. Lots of black sails.
Yeah, sorry, my mind was just watching the needle match that's going on in the HP30s. Some really close tacking up this beach as they try and get out of the tide and dodge the rocks. Right, we shall turn our attentions to the next race. Yes, as you say, J109, isn't it? Next up.
J109s, and then you've got Class 4 and Class 5, and then in fact, they'll be the last black group starters in the big boats.
Are we calling them black group anymore? I think that's gone, isn't it? Now?
Has it? Oh, right, okay, sorry.
No, I'm not reprimanding you. It was just an observation on air.
I don't like to talk about white and black group, as you know.
Here we go, that old one again.
Yeah, Cows Week properly starts at 5 to 12 when the Etchells get underway. The proper Cows Week boats. So that's a minute to go until the start of the J109s, and obviously a one design class. We've got Genie, Jambo, Jibe Talking, Jedi, Jazzy Jellyfish, Mojo Rising, Jukebox, Jenga and Jago, and Brown Teal. they don't all start with a J.
I was going to say they didn't quite get it, did they?
Brown Teal is 880. 30
now
seconds to go.
That rain swept through. It didn't last very long, and as the rain swept through, so did the breeze, and it's dropped back. It's now back to about 10 knots, occasionally jumping up above that. Much more settled conditions looking up there now. Now we're away from the influence of that cloud, always amazes me just how quickly it all sort of changes.
That is Brown Teal 880 near you now. They're going to be first over. And they're all clear, so a great start for the unusually named J109 Brown Teal 880. And it's quite a big gap actually till the next one.
Yeah, they timed it absolutely perfectly. They were on the line at speed and they've got perfect clear air. All their competitors were way shy of that line. Strangely, because actually the 109 fleet is quite a competitive fleet, usually very, very closely matched boats. But I think the thing that's catching some people out, quite a few people out today, is the strength of this tide. And it's understandable that you don't want to be over the line, jumping the gun on your first day and putting all that effort in only to find you've been disqualified. But on the other hand, you do need to be up near the line.
It's got a different name on its hull actually, but by the big 880 it's got a name like Jamalja or something like that.
Yes, I saw
and it's got
that.
a Dutch flag and a British flag and an American flag all together.
Yes, I'm just fond of it already because it's the same registration as my glider. 880 is the registration of my glider.
John Elijah.
Very probably.
So that is the leading J109 as the search and rescue helicopter heads over to the western Sonar. You can probably hear that if I shut up.
Oh, I thought that was our drone. Oh.
Is it that big, is it?
Well, I don't know. Oh, maybe it's a long way away. Okay.
So the J109, who's next over there? Yeah, there's a big gap there. It's 8529. Looks to me like they're the next over. Jazzy Jellyfish. And then you've got 8809, which is Jibe Talking. So, and Jedi following her. Most of these J109s with dark grey sails. 9779 is the exception, Jago. There are a couple there with white sails.
880 has done, the boat with many names and different nationalities, has done extremely well. They were on the line first, they were up to speed, they were pretty much on the line, in the right place, clear air, they can go where they want to go, and they're just stretching out their lead at the moment. So a real demonstration of how to do it right. Meanwhile, they've left their competitors fighting in each other's dirty air. As we've got Jago comes past us, dark blue hull, very pretty actually in dark blue. Comes past us, but they were a long way shy of the line, so they've got some work to do today to get themselves back up into the running. And just looking over towards the shore, no, just can't quite see the number, but anyway, there was a J109 that tacked in towards the shore, and unfortunately now is not the time to do it because the breeze has just dropped and there isn't the tidal benefit. Also, you've got to be very careful in there because they've only got to move about 20 metres further to the west, and that's where Pandemonium went aground.
So you've got Class 4 next, the penultimate starters in Black Group. IRC 4 with 13 entered there, Matt. Here's course confirmation for IRC 4. Kilburn and Strode Patents round to port. Powderburn, port. East Leap, port. Lademark 8J, port. South Bramble, starboard. West Ride Middle, starboard. Gamma, past to port. Line, RYS line 1 for the finish at 2:45. So that's going to be rush hour, I think, sort of 2:30 onwards for the finishers here at the squadron line. It won't be running finishes, but it'll be busy enough, Matt.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Yeah, sure it will be.
Matt Sheehan out on the B&G Instruments commentary boats with lots of new tech this year and lots of tide at the moment in that start line.
There certainly is. That's the 1 minute hooter. We're just alongside Genu, J109s, and the tide here is a good 2 knots, possibly more.
So in IRC Class 4 we've got J80s, we've got Cork 1720s and quite a few J92s. Lots of J92s actually.
Good to see that. A great boat, the J92. That was one of the boats that started the sports boat revolution 20 odd years, more than 20 years ago now. Crikey, I think about that. That is a while ago. But anyway, J92, cracking boat. Well, there's a real split in this J109 fleet. really. 880 is just continuing rather, to march our way off the front of the fleet, and justifiably so. And the others are now working. Those that try to work the shoreline just haven't made it work at the moment.
That was a loud one.
It was.
And their class flag comes down and they are underway. And it is a 1720, 1733 familiar sail number of Premier Crew leading into the beach, followed by 97 J Walker, which is a J97. And then good start for 965, which is La Vie en Rose 2. That's another Cork 1720. Looks like very new sails on there.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? There's quite a few of them. Good to see some of the 1720s back.
Yeah, they used to have their own start in White Group, but they're in this Class 4 start now. Premier Crew just getting round the front of J Walker at J97, who go about now. And the wind definitely eased off a bit here, and the tide strong. But,
yeah, there's definitely more breeze out towards the pin end of the line, but the trouble is now for these boats that are slower than the bigger boats we saw start off earlier on, if you start at the pin end of the line, you've got quite a long way. They're slower boats, so comparatively speaking, you've got longer out in the stronger tide, and it's a much more of a gamble as to whether you really start out there and hope that there's going to be enough breeze for you to benefit from it. And I think that's why we're seeing quite a few of the smaller boats now choosing to start down towards you, Simon, down towards the squadron end of the line, where they can sort of, at least if they need to get out the tide, it's not too far to get in towards the shore. But of course that's not without risk either, because as we're seeing right now, in fact looking up at the J109s, there's a couple that have gone in quite close to the shore and they're bolt upright with crew moving to leewards. There really isn't much breeze in there at all. So yep, it's a classic Cowswick start where you've got to balance the wind against the tide and also hope that you're going to get the odd dose of good luck as well.
So the final starters for you will be, for Black Group, will be IRC 5. We won't see today, because they're out on committee boat starts, the various cruiser classes, the Contessas, the Sunsails and the quarter tonners. They've all got committee boat starts today. So IRC 5 will be the final starters in Black Group here at the squadron, and this is course confirmation for IRC 5. Kilburn and Strode Patents round to port. Powderburn, port. East Leap, port. Craftinshore.com, port. South Bramble, starboard. West Ryde Middle, starboard. Gamma, past to port. Line, RYS line 1. Predicted finish time for Class 5 at around 2:30. They're going to be starting in a minute and 50, and in Class 5 we have got, well, it's a miscellaneous lovely mixture here. We've got a Corby 26, we've got a half tonner, we've got a Hunter 707 brackets modified, and we've got a Corby 29 and a First 31.7, and a Bermudan sloop is Cutlass 8818,
and we've got Whooper. And Whooper is Giovanni Belgrano's boat, classic Laurent Giles, jet black sails, sail number 363, and not only is Gio and his crew, very talented sailors, but they have won all kinds of things, and they are definitely a boat to watch out for. They've won a lot of the major trophies, including the Round the Island. It's an absolutely classic boat, sailed brilliantly, and I bet we'll be seeing them score some wins this week. They're just lining themselves up. This is a really tricky day for Whooper as well, because she's the biggest boat in the fleet by quite some way, and she's a very heavy boat as well. And on a day where you've got light breezes and puffs and gusts and the rest of it, Whooper can't really respond in the way that the modern lightweight boats can. So it's going to be a very, very tricky day for them, or at least a very tricky start, that's for sure.
In the previous class, Jackdaw just getting underway, just crossing the start line. Well done to them. Well, it's good to get the start eventually. So they are away now, and that's Class 4. But we've got Class 5, the start of Class 5, following Jackdaw very shortly, 5395 heading into the squadron, which is Secrets, a half-tonner, just bearing away now. And there is a recall. I'm not sure if it's Secrets, but we don't get the sale numbers here on who's being recalled, but I think a couple over there, Matt, at least 2.
Yeah.
No one turning back.
No, it looked to me though like oh no, they're in a different class. Okay, right, fair enough. Not sure who that was, but the boat that has done pretty well out here, and I don't think we weren't on the line, so I can't say with any certainty, but the boat that did pretty well was the Corby 25 out here. No chance. Well, they had every chance. No chance or no change? No Janko? No. No chance, I think it says. Second chance, not no chance.
Who would call their boat no chance?
Well, no one apparently, because it's actually called Second Chance. But it looks like no chance at the back. Anyway, that aside...
Second chance.
Second chance. They made a very nice start midway along the line. They managed to find some breeze and get a nice little lift, keep the pace going. They're coming in on starboard towards, I think is that Frank? Is that what the boat's called?
Frank 3 is
Frank 3, okay.
SJ 320.
Oh, yeah, that's another lovely boat, but that's a story for another day. And someone else just gone aground. J92 went aground. All the crew are to leeward in exactly the same place that Pandemonium went aground. So the Corby 25 made a nice start, came in on starboard, has put a few boats about. The tricky thing for them is that the Corby 25 is quite small physically in this fleet, and if anybody tacks on top of them, it's going to cause them all kinds of problems. But at the moment, they've done really well. They carried on, held their nerve, carried on starboard. Not much breeze in here at the moment, but they got a nice little lift, which has really helped them. They're going to have to give way to Frank 3. Frank 3 probably calling for water as they tack over onto port. That's just where the rock is there. Ooh, they're very close to where that rock is. Anyway, they look all right at the moment. I think they've actually just tacked just outside it, but that's very close indeed. And the Corby 25 heading in towards that area as well, although they're rolling into attack now. Breeze really dropped off in here now. We're down to 7 knots of breeze. Whooper's done, Giovanni Belgrano and his crew have done very well to keep their beautiful Laurent Jars boat up to speed. They got a bigger sail plan so they can capitalise from that, but it's a much, much heavier boat. Doing well. We've got Malcolm Thorpe's King Louis J80 just sliding past us on starboard here, trying to work their way in. If you get caught behind the back of the back end of your fleet, it is really hard to break through, because in this light breeze the air is so disturbed and chewed up that you just can't get enough power, and we're seeing that with boats that are tacking out from the shore into the dirty air. The rest of the fleet, they're really struggling to accelerate. Even light boats like the Hunter 707 brackets modified, closed brackets as you described it. I can see how it's been modified. It's got square top mainsail. Apart from anything else, looks quite neat actually.
Jet 2.
That'll be it.
Jet 2, yes. Hunter 707s was a very, very big one design class here at one point.
It was, now represented by one. Makes you wonder where all the others have gone. And
where do they all go?
I have no idea. And here's a boat, I'll talk about it later during the week. Hooligan used to race on that boat many years ago, won the Clarion Cup in the Fastnet on that boat. Nice old half-tonner.
That's the last of the black group starters, so we've got a 10-minute break now until the start of the Etchells at 5:02. So 6 minutes away for the start of the Etchells, with 12 entered in this Cows Week. And here's course confirmation for the Etchells. Cowes Yacht Haven, round to starboard. Contessa 32 class, port. Williams Shipping, port. Jane, port. Williams Shipping, port. Fastnet Insurance, starboard line. And it's the breakwater finish line for these white group boats. I think all of them, but we'll confirm that as we go through. Etchells starting at 5 to 12, so just over 5 minutes time. We will hear that gun in a second. Predicted finish time for them of around 2:45. So yeah, that really is looking like rush hour, Matt, from sort of 2:30 onwards for the various finish lines.
I'll have my lunch beforehand then.
There we are, 5 minutes to go until the start of the Etchells. So we're into the one design classes now. The Etchells all white sails, white hulls. I think there was one exception. We'll find out if they are here this year. And after the Etchells, we'll have the Darings, who've got the 3 red arrows at the top of their white sails, the red chevrons. The Dragons follow them. We'll have Flying 15s, Sonars, Sunbeams, Mermaids, Victories, Squibs and XODs. So it looks like the Red Wings have got a committee boat start today. In fact, there are a couple of days, Matt, where I've got very, very few white group starters here at the squadron. Monday.
Oh, is that right?
I'm down to 2.
I can hear the stress in your and the anxiety
Well,
in your
listen,
voice already.
I can only commentate on them if I can see them.
You've changed.
So 4 minutes to go until the start of the Etchells, and well, they've been racing here at Cowes many years. There's a strong Etchells fleet here in Cowes, but it is an international class, isn't it, Matt?
It is indeed, yes. It's been a very strong class for a very long time, and they're terrific boats to sail. Very, very competitive fleet, or has been in the past. We'll see how competitive they are this year. It sort of comes and goes a bit. It's sort of the popularity of them tends to change a bit depending on where the World Championships and the European Championships are. And we've had the World Championships in the UK several times, and indeed the European Championships, and you see big surges in interest in them. One of the things I just want to change tack just a little bit rather quickly, just for a moment, is that looking down the Western Solent, we were talking this morning about showers developing. Yep, there's a very nice big one over Lymington right now, so it's absolutely chucking it down over there. So I mentioned that because that's obviously going to change the breeze. And when you look to the north, and none of the fleets have actually got up there yet or come back, but if you look over towards Forley, there's loads of shower action from Forley further to the east out towards Cowshot, and that's going to sweep over the course. So tricky old day today, looking for the showers, looking for the breeze, and trying to make the best of it.
I don't want to get wet, Matt.
I'm just trying to spook you.
Can you do whatever you can to just shove it over there?
We'll see if we can nudge that cloud with this drone we've got. I don't know if it can do that. Maybe it can.
Are they live drone pictures on the website?
Sadly not at the moment. We have a
recording.
little technical issue, but we're recording, yeah.
Well, there are great, if you check out the Cowes Week website, there are great TV pictures there allied to the commentary here on Cowes Live. So if you are not in Cowes, in fact, even if you are in Cowes, check out the Cowes Week website, because it's on the big screens and on the plasmas around town, but also on the website. So 2 minutes to go until the start of the Etchells. We've got one just sitting in the tide there, 13:51, which is Audrey, and 14:39 coming up to check the line now, which is Rocket Man. The Etchells, they don't look it, but they're over. The design is over 50 years old now.
Yes, amazing.
They should have been, could have been, would have been an Olympics class, but it didn't happen, did it? They didn't get into, weren't chosen to be an Olympic keel boat.
No, and as many people might say, that's probably why they ended up being quite popular, because making a class an Olympic class can, and some would say often does, kill the class, because it makes it so competitive that actually alienates it from mainstream sailing.
It was the Soling that got the nod, but the Etchells very strong here at Cowes Week with a minute to go. And thinking back to the start of Cowes Radio in the 80s, it was the class that a lot of the famous sailors were sailing in. Dennis Collins was sailing in the Etchells, and Cowes Week in the 80s. America's Cup legend. We've got to talk America's Cup at some point, but not right now. But Matt was out there in New Zealand, and it was great coverage of this, of that. But it's the Etchells now with 30 seconds to go until their start. 14:07 coming in close, having a look at the seaweed on the rocks here at the Squadron, which is ice. They're just tacking. It's 13:51 closest to the line. Audrey with the jib flapping there. And you at the you're outer, you're in the middle of the line there, but
Yes,
there's not
I'm
too many
just-
with you there.
Well, I'm just looking down the line just to see who's going to be on the naughty step after this start. Okay, I think there's going to be at least one on the naughty step.
Individual recall.
There we go. I'd say, obviously not official, but I'd say it was 14:39, and possibly even
Coming back.
They're coming back.
Rocket Man's coming back. I don't know how many were judged over there, but Rocket Man is coming back to recross the line. No one else coming back at the moment. So 14:07 of this bunch close to the island is ice. They're just tacking now. Further out with you, 14:17 looks to have had a good start. China White.
Yes, China White has got a nice start. I thought they were way too far out along the line, but actually it turns out that there's a nice bit of breeze as we feel the temperature drop as well as this new breeze starts to come in. 14:17 China White is now on a lift. The breeze has shifted to the right a little bit. They've climbed up and they've got across the bows of everybody else. They're going to be first into the beach, but they don't want to push it in that far. They've actually rolled into attack. I'm surprised at that. I thought they'd force it in a bit further, but there we go. They've tacked over onto port. 782 is another one to watch in on the shoreline. They are the closest in on the shore.
It's Pulse.
Pulse, so they're in a nice position down there. They rolled over into attack. Unfortunately, the breeze just dropped as they went through the tack and they slowed down. And I'd say it's China White at the moment that is doing best out of this fleet as they come out on port. But the risk for China White is that they come out too far into this tide, which is still burning its way to the east. They keep looking over their shoulder at the fleet thinking, should we go back? Should we go back? I think you should. There we go. They roll into attack. Keep their position. They've got nice clear air where they are. This is China White, 14:17, but they are furthest out in the tide. And the fleet that have gone inshore are now just getting out of that tide and will start to accelerate and may well close up the gap. The breeze is still fairly light out here, and in fact, looking further up towards the headland, that'll be the Red Funnel Ferry wanting to join in with the start. Or maybe that's not quite what the intention was.
Well, they're getting a good look at the Etchells start. It looks like one's gone aground there.
Yeah, yes, I have, yes.
Which
Is
is...
it 05 or 20?
Yeah, no, 05.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
That's that rock that caught out Pandemonium earlier on.
They're off it now, I think.
They are off
They're
it.
moving. I can't see the name of number 5.
the-
Oh, it's got the Mandarin Chinese writing on the back.
Oh, okay.
Is that China? That's not China
No,
White,
China
is it?
White is 14:17, and so whilst they get themselves off the rock, and they're on port tack, and they've got boats coming in on starboard, and they're sort of waving at them saying, "We're aground." That's been tricky. But meanwhile, China White 14:17 played that perfectly. They're still in clear air. They're back on port, sailing up along the shore. The second place boat is 782 Pulse, who got right in on the shore, got a really nice start out of that. And these two are just pulling their way ahead of the rest of the fleet. But it does look like there's a bit of a bunch up when you get up towards Gurnard. When you get to the headland up there, the fleets in front have really compressed as they've run into less breeze. But then they're going to run into more breeze because there's a big black cloud just sweeping its way across.
A minute 20 until midday, which means it's a minute 20 until the start of the Darings. Here's course confirmation for the Darings. East Bay, starboard. Hamble Yacht Services, port. East Knoll, port. Hamble Yacht Services, port. Rourke, port. Fastnet Insurance, starboard line. It's the breakwater finish line for the Darings at about 3 o'clock, so 45 seconds to go until they get underway, and it's 24, the red hull of Daring Do just bearing away on the line, and the white hull of number 3, Dauntless. Very familiar Daring here, this class, all based in Cowes. all white sails with the three. We've got a Class 5 boat trying to join the daring start, but they are right in amongst it here, and I don't think they're going to be terribly popular, but they missed their start time. They're just starting now. The darings, I think a few are going to be over here, Matt, with 5 seconds to go. Individual recall. 30 is heading back, which is Darius. Anybody else heading back? Maybe 29 is. Looks like there's 15 heading back.
Yeah, I would have thought so, because
15 is Dolphin. And another one, 29, I think, came back to recross, which is Defender. But Dauntless, the white hull of number 3, looks like they've had another great start. And then closer to the squadron, starting with that Class 5 boat, is Daring 37. Dauntless could well be a class apart again.
The boat that's going to come out of this for the moment in the lead is number 3, whatever number 3.
Yeah, that is Dauntless.
Oh, Dauntless, I beg your pardon. So, that's Giles Peckham, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so up to his usual tricks, leading the fleet. So he got that perfectly, timed that perfectly. He's got clear air coming in towards the beach on starboard, crossed the bow of 37, really quite. Well, they're on starboard, so it didn't matter, but with plenty of room to spare. That breeze now picking up as this black cloud sweeps across the area. The breeze has suddenly perked up. Be interesting to see which way the shift goes. I suspect it's going to be a lift on starboard, so I wouldn't mind betting that when the breeze gets down to Giles in number 3 on Dauntless and 37, that they roll into attack. And there we go, 37 rolls into attack. Onto starboard. Dauntless still in the lead on starboard and just tacks underneath their bow. Classic match racing tactic, get underneath them and then call the shots as you come out from the shore. 37 got plenty of pace on, but 37 is going to have to give way to Dauntless, as Dauntless is going to call for water. They're right by that rock now.
They don't want to go much further, do they?
It's been catching people out all morning. Dauntless calls for water, tacks over onto port, forces 37 to tack over onto port. That makes sure that Giles in Dauntless can protect his position, his windward boat. Now he can put dirty air on number 37 and sail over the top. So classic match racing tactics there. And those two boats are actually just stretching their way in front of the rest of the fleet. And once again, we see the same thing repeated, in that if you get buried in the pack, it's a difficult place to be, because the air's so chewed up, you just can't get enough power. You're certainly not pointing properly, and meanwhile those that have got clear air just sail away from you, which is exactly what's happening with Dauntless and 37. What did you say 37's called?
No, it's not listed here on my one, but I'll try and find out who 37 is. I couldn't work out, I couldn't see the sign on the back, the writing on the back, but
It's such a tiny transom on the Darings that even if you put it in big letters, you'd never be able to read it. Well, not at my age anyway.
So the Dragons a minute 45 away from their start. Here's course confirmation for the Dragons, who will be following the Darings. Course confirmation for the Dragons. Cowes Yacht Haven round to starboard. Contessa 32 class, port. West Knoll, port. Hill Head, port. West Knoll, port. Fastnet Insurance, starboard line, the breakwater finish line for the Dragons. Some of those Darings going in pretty close, Matt, but I think they're all still moving.
Yeah.
And the breeze strengthening as the skies darken. It's
number 4's the one to watch for. They've just gone in and tacked onto port, but on their way out is actually where they may well. No, they look okay. That's but nerve-wracking to be in there. Oh, a big breeze just come up. We can feel the rain starting to come. Zip your coat up, Simon. You're going to get a little bit wet.
I forgot it. I didn't think I'd need it.
Oh, for God's sake!
What an amateur. Anyway, the Dragons.
You're in England, man. For God's sake.
Now, the Dragons we'll look out for here is 192, which is the beautifully newly restored blue bottle, and unusually with a blue hull in the Dragon class. 192 owned, in fact, it was a wedding present for the Duke of Edinburgh, and he raced it for many years here at Cowsweek. But Blue Bottle, newly restored and being raced by the maestro of the class, Graham Bailey, and all the Baileys, in fact. So the Dragons just a few seconds away from their class as the breeze strengthens on day one of the regatta. And it's an individual recall. There's one coming back already. I think it's a good start for 192. They've got great bow speed. 763 just ahead of them at the moment. That's Bertie. 192 with them, and further up it's 761 Jerboa. One Dragon came back. I saw, in fact, 76. Is that Bertie coming back? I think they're coming back as well. So a great start for Blue Bottle 192, but further out it's 761 Jerboa. They won't have to tack before Blue Bottle.
I think
So
Jerboa, isn't that Gavia Wilkinson Cox, I think, is that her boat? I think it is.
761.
Yeah, she's certainly got the lead there. They're coming in on starboard. They've just crossed Blue Bottle's bow. Big gust up here. We've got up to 17 knots of breeze at the moment, and some rain to go with it as it drops out the bottom of this cloud. So that's suddenly changed the picture for this fleet. But Jerboa just rolling into attack onto port, trying to cover the fleet, doing quite a good job of it. As they do, there's a Daring stuck in the mix as well, number 32, which is just adding to the fun.
Destroyer. Destroyer in there.
Oh dear. So yeah, 761 Jerboa tacking over onto port, as I say, coming out now on port tack. Meanwhile, Blue Bottle 192 actually pressing further out into the tide in this breeze, doing a good job of it actually, keeping a fair bit of pace on. That really is, that's the first time I've seen this boat. It's an absolute classic, isn't it? Wooden boat, beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and I believe it's on display. Generally, it's on display up with the Royal Yacht Britannia in Leith Docks in Edinburgh.
Oh, is that right?
But it is very newly restored, and the Duke of Edinburgh was being kept informed about the restoration over the last couple of years. So great to see. Well, I think it's a great tribute, isn't it? It's great to see Blue Bottle here, raced here by Prince Philip, who was so passionate about sailing and loved Cowsweek and everything to do with it. But great to see Blue Bottle here being raced in his honour, really. In the Dragon class.
Fantastic.
So, more rain comes down. We've got a bit of a gap here until the start of the Flying 15s, which the Duke of Edinburgh also raced here at Cowsweek with Uffa. I think Uffa was on Blue Bottle as well. I'm pretty sure he was. There are certainly pictures of a very young Prince Charles and Princess Anne on Blue Bottle with the Duke and Uffa. Well, that's going back. It's going back a little bit.
But you'd remember that.
I just about remember that. I don't remember that. I do remember him racing on Yeoman. It was a Sigma 38, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, that's right. Yes, on Yeoman.
And the rain is coming down now here in Cowes.
I'm putting my new jacket on, Simon, just saying.
Brilliant.
But look on the bright side, it isn't going to, quite literally, it's not going to last that long.
Good.
Just long enough for you to get soaking wet.
Yeah, well, it is a great commentary position, this. Except
right
in this
now.
particular moment when it just funnels in beautifully right onto our commentary position. Thankfully, most importantly, much more important than me, the equipment has got the wet weather gear on.
Oh, excellent.
So I'm not going to blow up anytime soon. But you'll know when that happens. There'll be a sort of zoop sound.
Okay, yes, there'll be a fizz.
We've got Daring starting. Daring number 5 is Diamond. They're just starting. They're a little bit behind the times.
Yeah.
But the Flying 15s will be starting at 12:15. So I might as well give you the course for that, as I shield myself from the rain. Flying 15s with 15 entered. Here's course confirmation for them. East Bay starboard. Hamble Yacht Services port. Williams Shipping port. Jane, port. Williams shipping, port. Ancaster, starboard. Line, the breakwater finish line for the Flying 15s at 15:03. Ancaster, we haven't had an Ancaster in a while.
No.
Check out where Ancaster is. In the middle. Jane is in the middle of the Solent. Ancaster's nearby. It's near East Bramble. Ancaster.
Okay. Right.
Ah, Fiona, thank you very much. Fiona's brought out a brolly. Where's my coat? I know, where is my coat? Godfather, where's my coat?
I don't know why I'm laughing. I've just had to be helped into my coat. That's the humiliation of it. But I think I'm going to blame
Thank
it
you
on
very
the
much
fact.
indeed.
I'm going to blame it on the fact that I was driving at the time. So.
Thank you very much. I've just been given a lovely coat. I promise not to walk off with it. Again.
Has it got a fur collar?
Matt, stop it. It's only day one. Yes, I will bring it tomorrow. But one of the... I suppose it could all be Bluetoothed and remote and I'll be able to wander off and keep commentating, but I'm definitely tethered to this point, this very wet point. Fiona, thank you very much indeed. That's very kind. We will get the latest sailing forecast from Fiona in a bit. In fact, in just under 5 minutes. But there are blue skies off there to the west, and it's 3 minutes and 45 now until the start of the Flying 15s at 12:15. That rain passing through the central Solent now. Another container ship coming out of Southampton water, and the Flying 15s with their the smallest boats here in the regatta, but very important boats. They've been racing here at Cowes for many years, with the double F on their sail, and lots of them have double F in their name as well. We've got Folly and Flashback and Durban Flyer.
And of course, we have to say, designed by the famous Arthur Fox.
And designed by Arthur
Probably
Fox,
one of his most famous of many designs, but one of his most famous designs. Famous for being the world's first planing keelboat.
Well, it's absolutely stood the test of time, hasn't it?
It's one of the boats that I've always fancied doing Cowes Week on and never quite got round to it. And one day I will. And my daughter who crews for me, keeps badgering me to say, come on, when are we going to race a Flying 15? To which my answer is, when you can afford one, obviously.
The Flying 15s dating back to 1947, and you would never think that looking at them now as they get ready for their start. It was revolutionary, and it's a Cowes. It is. I think we can say it is a Cowes classic, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, very much so. Yeah.
And it seems to be more entries this year than 2 years ago, which is great.
Yes, it depends on when they're. So they have a thriving international fleet, Flying 15s, famous and sailed all over the world, and so consequently, when they have their world championships are spread all over the world, and that can affect the local fleets as they stick their boats in containers and ship them off to Hong Kong or wherever it is for their world championships. And I'm not quite sure what the Flying 15 racing calendar looked like this year, but maybe that's why we've got a few more this year than we've had. I know it has in the past clashed with their nationals and national championships, but great to see a decent fleet this year.
So after the Flying 15s, we've got two other starts in this 5-minute sequence. We've got the Sonars and the Sunbeams, and then we'll have another break. Then we'll have the Mermaids, Victories and Squibs every 5 minutes, and then we'll have a break. And then the XODs will go at 5 to 1. So yeah, lots of familiar names in the Flying 15s and some unfamiliar ones. We've got Flip Flop here, we've got Over the Moon, we've got Forced Family Fun, and Fox Force 5 is here in the Flying 15s with the Minute Hooter going, and coming down the line towards the squadron, we've got 3963. 3969 is Cruise Missile. So one of the Flying 15s without a double F in the name.
What were they thinking?
3499, just letting the mainsail flap there close to the line. That's Flip Flop. Lots of these based at the Cowes Corinthian Yacht Club. I'm not sure if they're all based there, but lots of them are based there.
Well, that's the main fleet in Cowes is out to Cowes Corinthian.
And now with 15 seconds to go, it's jib furled on 40.04, which is not listed. Of course it's not. They're heading back, and another 2, 3 heading back. Individual recalls possibly.
I think so.
Oh, they're all clear. They're all clear, says the race officer. So great start there. Bang on the line for Flashback. 38.19. Further up, 9.26 is that 50.50. 3.926 has had a good start, and Tho has 3.779, which is a very familiar sail number in the Flying 15s. It's men behaving badly.
Ah, right. Yes. Well, they've often been at the front of the fleet, which is their, remind me what their number is, 3819, did you say?
Men behaving badly is 3.779.
Okay.
And 50.50 is 3.926.
So 3819 is got the best out of that start.
Flashback.
So Flashback managed to get their nose out in front into clear air. They're leading the charge in towards the beach. They've got a nice bit of breeze as they go in. They're going to be able to tack over and call right. Well, actually, no, they probably won't. No, they come over onto port. Are they going to call rights? No, they're actually behind 3779. And, oh, yes, they forced about a couple there. There was call for water, and 3926 bore away rather quickly.
50.50.
And 490 tacked over onto port. I'm not quite sure what 50.50, what happened there really, because they bailed out of that situation very quickly. Talking of bailing out, we better just move away from them. Sorry, as I move through my cameraman shot, I'm just going to do a full circle and have a look, because I'm not at all surprised to see this fleet fighting to get in towards the shore. These are nimble boats, 2-man boats, very easy to, I say easy, but easy to flick around, and you can tuck right into the shore. They don't draw very much at all, so you can get right out of the tide. So I'm not surprised to see them fighting to get in there. But of course the risk is, as we've seen with all of the other classes this morning, is that it's one thing to get inshore and get out of the tide, but sometimes you get out of the wind as well. And that can be quite costly, as 3969 has just discovered, having tacked in right in on the beach, only to discover that there's no breeze to take them out of it.
Sonars will be starting next, and this is the course for the Sonars ahead of the sailing forecast. East Bay round to starboard, Hamble Yacht Services, port, Rourke, port, Fastnet Insurance, starboard, line, the breakwater finish line for White Group, and that's the course for the Sonars. It's 12:15 here on Cowes Live. Time for the latest sailing forecast with Fiona Campbell.
Good afternoon. Well, we've certainly seen some variability in both wind direction and wind speed around those showers. That shower now moving off into the eastern Solent, so that'll affect the fleets down there. Looking up to windward, you can see some blue sky, but there are more showers getting going over the mainland, so we could expect 1 or 2 more during racing. But there will be plenty of decent breeze in between. Now that shower has gone through to the east, you should see wind speeds and direction steady down again, once again from the west-southwest, and ranging from around 8 to 12 knots. We have seen occasionally peaking up to 12 to 14 in the west, and a gradual increase expected this afternoon, a few more knots later. Fiona Campbell, Cowes Live.
The weather brought to you by 7-Star Yacht Transport, worldwide leader in yacht transport.
Thanks very much, Fiona, for that. Yes, patches of blue sky looking over to the west, and a minute 20 to go until the start of the Sonars as the Flying 15s head off on their race. The Sonars will have been checking that out. Matt Sheehan in the B&G Instruments commentary rib heading back towards the start for the Sonars. And how's the breeze at the moment, Matt?
It's dropped right off. Now that rain has gone through, it's dropped back down to just below 10 knots, and it's quite patchy, as you would sort of expect on the back of a shower. It's quite patchy as you go up along the beach, but looking up at the way that the Flying 15s have gone off, if you're a small boat, you've got every reason to go and work those shifts and puffs along the shore and see if you can stay out of the tide at the same time. And I think that we're most likely to see that replicated in the Sonar fleet, with 30 seconds to go, and they're all down your end.
Yep, here come the sonars. We've got a flying 15 starting here actually, but it is the sonars with the red lines at the top of their sails that we're looking out for here. It's 724 Bertie leading them in, and I think 727 is 737 Jenny not far. A lot of the sonars, of course, based at the Island Sailing Club. And here they come. Individual recall. Is there one? I can't see who that is. And we've got one turning back with the blue deck on 737, which is Jenny. They've come back to recross the line. Looks like 699 if they were legit at the start. Discard. Have had are they coming back? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think they are coming. Well,
no, they're not.
No, they're not. Well,
so 724, the Andrew Castle Foundation. 724 is Bertie. They're just tacking now. Of course, this class used to be at the Paralympics. 602 seems to have a good start, which is ACF Dolphin. And who are you with, Matt?
Well, we're just coming up towards 602. I'm not sure who that is.
ACF Dolphin.
Okay, they got a nice start there. They didn't get themselves too far inshore, tacked out into the breeze, come out on port. They're looking over their shoulders as to when they'd be able to go back in towards the shore, but at the moment it's not quite the right time because they're on a bit of a lift on port tack, so I guess they'd want to stay with that for a while until the breeze shifts back the other way, which it doubtless will. And there it goes, the breeze shifts a little bit. Are they going to tack on it? They're looking over their shoulder. They did pretty well. I didn't see where they start on the line. I don't think they were risking being on the naughty step. I think they actually started behind and behind the line, and they actually had just clearer breeze as they went in towards the shore, and have worked this first minute or two of the race very well. But the boat inside, which is 724, is climbing up on them. They've got a lift on port.
It's Bertie.
So Bertie's got a lift on port and has gained some distance. They're coming in on port tack, and 602 has tacked over onto starboard. Bertie wasn't going to cross, so they said, okay, we'll tack back in, heading towards the rocky part of the course. Be interesting. I think they're just far enough to the west of where that rock is that it's not going to be an issue for them. And 602 tacks back as 724 tacks back. I think they may well have called for water there and forced them back out. But anyway, both boats have come back out on port, so it's 602 and 724 leading the fleet at the moment. Nice little puff. Lifted. 724 is sailing extremely well. Actually, they're managing to work those ships. Oh, I can see they're actually squeezing it up in every little lift, which is working for them.
I've got the Solent Sunbeams in 2 minutes. Here's the course confirmation for the Solent Sunbeams. Cowes Yacht Haven, round to starboard. Hill Head, port. West Knoll, port. Fastnet Insurance, starboard line. The breakwater finish line for the Solent Sunbeams. They will have had a look at what the sonars were up to there, but the Solent Sunbeams maybe won't want to go in quite as close. We will see. We will see when they get underway in a minute and a half. The Solent Sunbeams with the V at the top of their big white sails. After this start, we'll have another 10-minute gap, and then we'll have another group of 3 starting in sequence. But it's the Solent Sunbeams next, and we've got about 7 entered in this Cows Week. They are getting their minute hooter there. So Solent Sunbeams, Dainty and Harmony and Query and Danny. Danny does very well. Minty. I don't remember Minty. Minty's here. Minty is 70, just in front of the squadron, closest to the squadron now. 40 seconds to go, 62 on the line, which is Firefly. They're just bearing away. Behind them, 26, Danny, one of the class pundits, and 25 is Query. And yeah, they'll have had a look at the sonars. The sonars seem to be going in pretty close to the beach there, Matt.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely working their way up that shoreline, close in. There was some breeze up there. The key to this, they're all closely bunched as they come up with 10 seconds to go. The key to this is getting clear air. You need to be able to accelerate.
So it's 62 leading them in Firefly. Individual recall, says the race officer.
Well, that would be 62, I think.
Yeah, they're coming back, but
possibly even 61. But
61 is Betty, were definitely one of the class pundits. They're not coming back.
no,
so
they were very close on the line. They may be okay.
behind them is the red hull of 25 Query, and so yeah, 61 Betty. Just thinking about they're attacking. They're going about now in front of 25 Query. Further out near you, Matt, it's Dainty, number 1.
Yes, they've just tacked over onto starboard, and whilst they had nice clear air, got off the line fine, they were in the tide. And 61 well across them. I suspect that 25, 26 and 11 that are all jostling with each other in on the shoreline. Actually, no, they won't. So actually, number 1, Dainty. Did you say Dainty?
Dainty.
Yeah, Dainty. Looks like she's in second at the moment. They're coming across the fleet on starboard. They could force them to tack, or bear away, which is exactly what 26 does. 26, I think that's Danny, you said, doesn't it? And goes around the back of Dainty. 25's going to do the same. And so too is number 11.
That's Harmony. Yeah, 26 is Danny.
And Dainty heads in towards the beach, but unfortunately the breeze has dropped in there, and 61 on port tack, still pressing on out into the tide, has at least got some breeze and is able to keep pace on, and is just stretching their lead out on the rest of the fleet for the time being. Still very patchy in here. It's down to, what are we down to? 7 knots on my lovely new display.
Solent Sunbeam celebrating their 98th birthday this year, so not too far off the centenary for the Solent Sunbeams, which have never missed cows. And they'll be planning a big party in a couple of years' time, I'm sure. Were you here for the XOD centenary?
I was.
Yeah. That was a big do, wasn't it?
It certainly was, yeah. It was impressive.
And I got some spinnaker runs in the distance there, which I think those are Darings on their spinnaker run.
They are.
So they're heading back to the central Solent. It looks like the blue, I'm sure Dauntless has got a blue spinnaker. They had a very good start, didn't they? And it's a white hull, and I'm sure Dauntless has got a blue spinnaker. They used to. Then it's a white spinnaker with a red Maltese cross, which I'm not familiar with, but we will, as the week goes on, find out who that is. But I think Dauntless has got a blue spinnaker, and I think they're leading.
Yeah.
But the Daring spinnakers are big and very distinctive as well. There's the multicoloured rainbow one, and there's a parliamentary one. You might see one with a green spinnaker with the portcullis on it. I can't see it at the moment, but we might at some point. Well, that's the Darings in the distance. We've got a bit of a gap here until the start of the Seaview Mermaids, and they are gathering. The Seaview Mermaids with a U on their sail, their white sails, and the multicoloured fleet of the Mermaids. Then we'll have the Victories, the Squibs and the XODs. But, here is course confirmation for the Seaview Mermaids with 15 entered. East Bay starboard, Contessa 32 class port, Williams Shipping port, Jane port, Williams Shipping port, QXI International starboard, line. The breakwater finish line for the Seaview Mermaids predicted at 3:10. So the white group finishing over on the breakwater finish line. Black group finishing here at the squadron, but they will be coming into wind. They won't be running finishes. There won't be spinnaker finishes for the black group today. Later on in the week, I'm sure. We'll get some spinnaker finishes, and we'll get some white group finishes at the squadron as well.
It's got quite busy out here as the Squibs, which have got a good healthy fleet. Oh, there's Aquabat. They're always up in the Squib fleet. They're always up somewhere near the front, if not in the front. But yeah, it's got quite busy because the XODs have arrived as well, all getting ready in preparation for their start. And so we've got quite a lot of the One Design classes out here. What have we got? 4.5 minutes to go until the start of the mermaids. And it's tricky here because the reason I mentioned there's quite a few more boats out here is it's churning up the breeze. And we've just gone down to leeward of the line, so to the east side of the start line. And the breeze you can feel is so fickle here because there's so much traffic going backwards and forwards. And if you get trapped down here, which is down tide, you're going to really struggle to get to the line on time. So there's quite a strong incentive to stay up towards the line, even with 4 minutes to go. Even staying above the line is fine. You just need to stay in that clear air so that you've got the ability to sail around and position yourself where you want to, rather than struggling to get back to the line in no breeze or choppy in turbulent air. And that's sort of what we see most of the Seaview Mermaid fleet doing. There's a couple that have got stuck behind the line, but most of them are right up on the line, sailing backwards and forwards, keeping their pace, keeping the speed, and keeping a view on what's going on further up the course. Because as we've seen with class after class today, it's a very tricky opening stage to the first leg for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a big boat or whether you're a small two-man boat, Squib or a Flying 15. It's the same for everybody. It's figuring out where the breeze is and when to go for the breeze and when to hide from the tide.
So another strict One Design class this, and it's the beauty of these dayboat classes here. They're strict One Design. The Seaview Mermaids, they've got different coloured hulls, but they are all at Seaview Yacht Club, and at other times of the year they are actually available for charter. They're very popular for charter events, and they are all here en masse from Seaview for the racing here, with their first start 2.5 minutes away. Some of them sailing away over the line, just checking out where the best bit of patch of water is. But most of the previous classes have been starting in quite close to the squadron. We've got Squibs coming out, and XODs and Victories coming out as well, but they're not starting. It's the sails, the white sails with the U sail numbers on them, and about 20 entered here, 15 or 20 entered here in the Mermaid class. More and more daring spinnakers going past in the distance. And,
interesting that out of all of the classes we've seen, this class seems to be the most active and keen to stay up close to the line and keep the speed on, which is that there's just hardly anyone, if anyone at all, in this fleet that has let themselves drop behind the line. So I think this is going to be a pretty interesting start. There's quite a few of them. They're tightly packed. The consensus clearly is in the fleet they want to be at the squadron end of the line to get out of the tide. They've got 1 minute and 20 seconds to go, but getting there, or holding that position and keeping clear air is going to be really tricky.
Yes, Haloof number 3 is closest to the squadron. They're just going to head up and check out where the line is now. And this countdown is the 1 minute hooter for the Mermaids. Number 11 as well is close to the line, Miranda. And we've got a white hull coming back over the line. I think that's 62, which is Annabelle. So Annabelle, the white hull, just running back over the line. The pink, we've got pink and purple together. That's 10 and 12. Ad Astra and Amethyst. So 30 seconds to go until the start of the Seaview Mermaids, and lots of them coming in on starboard towards the squadron.
62's in a tricky position there. They know that they're very close to the line, if not over it. In fact, 10 looks like they're over it as well. They're trying to come back.
3's come back. Haluf.
Yeah, they're all getting themselves really close up to this line. I think there's going to be some individual... Yeah, 10 doesn't look good. The distinct pink hull of 10 is fighting to try and get back behind the line, but she's windward boat and has to keep clear.
Individual recall.
Yeah,
That's Ad Astra, the pink one coming back. But number 2 is steaming over the line now. That's Cynthia. They're going to have to tack first. Further out, it's yellow number 9, Sheen. And closer to you is number 1, which is Scuttle, but they don't seem to have the boat speed of the ones in here, Matt.
No, they don't. The breeze at the moment is just compressing along that shore very close to you. And further out to sea, there's less breeze. Although, having said that, it's just starting to build now as number 12... Is that no, number 2
is tacking, which is Cynthia.
Coming out on port. And now, tricky for them because 9, the yellow hull of 9, they've just crossed in front of number 2 and are heading in towards the beach. And number 2 had a good position, but this is what happens if you do get yourself tucked in there, is that all the boats that cross you just spill dirty air onto you, and you just haven't got enough room to tack back in towards the shore.
Sheen is the yellow number 9. They're just tacked in close to the beach there, and they'll go round the front of number 11, Miranda.
This is going to get very tight. Number 11 needs to cool water in a minute and tack over onto port in front of 2. I think they can just about do it, but there's a real scrap going on.
They just got round there behind Scuttle and in front of another Seaview Mermaid, but oh dear, one seems to have stopped.
Well, to make it even worse for those that were just about going through attack, a whole bunch of some waves came in just as they were tacking and stopped them dead as they went through the tack. And these boats don't accelerate very quickly. They're beautiful boats, but they're heavy as well. And they're all coming out now on port tack on a header. And they'll all be looking at their compasses thinking, we don't want to come out on this angle. But then they look over their shoulder and whether they can tack back in, particularly in the case of 9, the yellow boat, they desperately want to get back in towards the shore. They know this isn't the place to be, but they can't because they've got a stack of boats to windward of them. And they're just stuck, hung out here in the tide by their competitors who are doing it, and of course it's all tactical, they're doing it deliberately to hold them out here. Number 9 then says, no, I've had enough, I'm tacking over, I need to get back on starboard. Decides to dip behind 11. And the boat that's come out of this quite well is 20, the turquoise hull of 22, scooting down the tide. Dragonfly, so really close inshore. It's going to call for water soon, I would imagine, and about to roll into attack. Number 1 is going to have to tack over to give her room to come out from the shore, which they do. Hit a bit of wash, slow down. God, it's punishing in these kind of conditions. We've only got about 8 knots of breeze, and if you hit a few waves head on, it slows these boats down really quickly and it's hard to get them going again.
Like the sonars getting in close to the beach there. I haven't got any swimmers for you today so far, Matt, but it's still early. I had some paddlers, but not swimmers.
We've got some Labradors. Do they count?
Yeah, they count. We've got a kayaker here, and lots of spectators along the front.
God, our fortunes change really quickly in this fleet. 11 really wasn't, well, it's unfair to say they weren't anyway, but they certainly weren't in the front running 2 minutes ago. They tacked across, got some breeze, found themselves on the inside berth of the entire fleet, and are now leading.
That's Miranda is number 11. Well done to them. So we've got the next starters will be the Victories in just over a minute. So here's course confirmation for the Victories. Their first start here at Cowes Week 2021 with 9 entered. CHS round to starboard. Hamble Yacht Services port. Rourke port. Contessa 32 class port. Royal Thames port. QXI International starboard line, the breakwater finish line for the Victories. And well, you'd have thought that they had a V on their sail, but they don't. They got a Z. It's the Sunbeams have got a V. Don't ask why.
Don't go there.
No. So it's the Victories with the black hulls and the Z sail numbers that are starting all up from Portsmouth. Racing in Portsmouth all the time, and they of course come to Cowsweek for their special starts here. 10 minutes to go. There's some X-boats on the line. They shouldn't really be there. Should be getting out of the way. Got some Squibs as well. But it's the Victories with their final countdown now, and it's 71 closest to the line. And they're all clear. So 71, Christina has had a pretty good start. Maybe not the best boat speed. I think behind her it's 69 Zinnia and 60 as well. Is it 60? Or Shearwater is 80. They've had 80, a good start. Yeah. 80 is Shearwater 2 and 69 Zinnia, a very, very, very familiar sail number, Z69 with a good start. So those are the top three, Shearwater, Zinnia and 71 Christina. 54 leading into the beach is Zelia. She'll have to tack first of all, and 74 following her is Peregrine. Who's going to go first? I think it's going to be 54, and they're not going to get round the front of those other three that I was mentioning. So they are looking in, they're waving to people on the beach, and they tack now. So yeah, they're going to go round the back of 71 Christina, 69 Zinnia and 80 Shearwater 2 with the leading three there in the Victories. Who's going to come out on top, do you think, Matt?
Oh, Shearwater 2, 80. They windward boat, they're coming in towards the beach. They are going to have to tack out as they do now to allow 71 and 69 water, but they were in a very good position there. They had clear air, they tacked when they wanted to, and there's been a bit of wash that had just gone through, and 80 managed to just tack ahead of that wash and kept their speed on. They've done very, very well out of that, actually. It just goes to show that you don't have to always push it all the way in to the shore to come out on top. So 80's done extremely well. They're just coming past us now. Very nice setup, plenty of speed. Didn't slow down at all as they roll into attack. Yeah, nice one. Can they keep the speed on? It's going to be important. They're on starboard, of course. They have right of way, and beautifully done. Come out the other side. Plenty of speed, forcing 69 to go behind them. In fact, they didn't have to force them at all. 69 was behind them. And yes, it's 80 that's leading this fleet. And if we're not careful, we're going to be part of their fleet. So I'm just going to move out of the way.
Yeah, you need a black hull to be in the Victory class, you know. You can't just force your way in like that. But the Victories are away. We've got two more starters. We've got the Squibs up next at 12:45. And then we've got a bit of a delay, a bit of a gap until the start of the XODs. But here's the course confirmation for the Squibs. CHS round to starboard, Contessa 32 class, port, Williams Shipping, port, Jane, port, Williams Shipping, port, Ancaster, starboard, line, the breakwater finish line for the Squibs, and they're predicted home at 3:30. The Squibs with their mace coloured sails, their rusty orange sails. And then, we've got a Victory starting. There's a Victory 73 is Seagull. They're just going to start their race. They've got a bit of catching up to do there with the rest of them. So Z73 just crossing the line. We've got the Squib starting in a minute and a half. And then it'll be the XODs at 5-1. One of the biggest classes and oldest classes here at the regatta, but it's the Squibs we're focusing on with their mace coloured sails, and not as many. They had a big championship here, didn't they, and big anniversary year where there were Squibs from all over the UK who came to Cowsweek. But it will be very competitive, really competitive, as it is in lots of the classes, all of the classes, but the Squibs really, really competitive, and they are 45 seconds away from their start. We've got 36 pretty close to the line, which is Artemis 2.
Very interesting that they have chosen not to get tucked in towards the shore. I'm surprised at that. These are very nimble boats. You would have thought they would be getting themselves in out of the tide, but actually they're happy to fight mid-line, and there's a few that have just got caught, think they're going to be too close. They've got 20 seconds to go, and I'm just going to edge up a little bit. Outermost is Osprey, who doesn't really have a very good, just coming around them now, they can't actually see where the line is. There's so many boats below them. 6 seconds to go. Everybody's trying to get their bow down because they have a suspicion they're over the line, and they are, oh, that's going to be very close indeed. I think actually that looked
individual.
Really? Okay. So that could well be 5-2 by the looks of it. And it might well have been 5-2 was certainly the most advanced of the fleet a second after the gun went.
Bacanti 7 is 52.
But the boat that's doing quite well and has decided their OCS was 63, and that was the one that the other one I was going to suggest was possibly over the line. They've just gone back. They thought, no, it's not worth the risk.
It's Maverick.
And 147 has gone back as well, but I wonder if 52 was actually over the line at the start, because they are nicely advanced at the moment. They've got clear air. They're out of the top. Well, they're in towards the beach, heading out of the tide and accelerating on the rest of the fleet. They're doing it very nicely indeed, but if they were over the line at the start, that will be to no avail.
Yeah, I didn't see. Did you see anyone come back? I didn't see.
Yeah,
that.
I saw. So 63 came back, 147 came back, but if 63 came back, 52 I thought were further ahead of them on the line, albeit at the other end of the line. Yeah, I think they might have a bit of a surprise when they get back this afternoon.
833 Teal tacking close to the beach, and they're heading towards 52 now, but there's a bunch of squibs heading into the beach, and the tacking battle begins. 833 has actually gone back. Teal has gone back onto starboard. They've been forced back there, but we're going to have to call for some water. 36, yeah, go about 36. They'll go round the stern of Artemis 2, and 142 is Squiggle.
52 tacked over and came out on port, but actually it's Osprey 808 that started furthest out on the line, but has had clear air all the way across, that is now coming into the beach on starboard. And if they hold their nerve all the way in towards the beach and get themselves to windward, which they look like they're going to do, they will be in a very strong position if they can tack out of there and keep their speed. Is that the Victory number 7 line has just tacked on top of them, so there's a whole bunch of dirty air just as they were in a really nice position, but they might just have been able to slide through.
Who is Bacanti 7? To the beach. 1-4. The Expos. Round to starboard. Hamble Yacht Services, port. Hill Head, port. Hamble Yacht Services, port. West Knoll, port. Ancaster, starboard, line. Breakwater finish line for the XODs. Predicted at 3:45. and they will be starting in 5.5 minutes. So a little break in the start sequence here, but I've enjoyed that, Matt. The 5-minute starts with a few little breaks to keep have a sort of insurance policy there if they need to have a general recall or whatever. But it's rather good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly important to have your breakfast before the start sequence gets underway, isn't it?
Have you not had anything?
No, I'm greedy enough that we made sure that we did
Right.
ram some chocolate brownies down, because apparently that's health food.
Is it?
Well, it made me feel better, so it must be healthy.
Right, okay, cool. Yeah. So 5 minutes to go until the start of the XODs, and I'm delighted to say tomorrow that we will have a guest commentary from the XOD class. Richard Field, the class historian, will be joining us again, which is great news, and lots of guest commentators as the week goes on. Although, I might have a bit of a problem on Thursday, because I don't think I've got many... I don't have, on Thursday, and Monday in fact, many white group starters here on the squadron line. In fact,
No.
it's only the Etchells, Darings and the Dragons on Thursday. Darings is fine, because our Darings commentator will be with us for that, but I'll have to check on the others. But yes, it'll be good to hear from all the different classes at some point during the week, and you'll hear them here on Cows Live. This is the 4-minute signal for the XODs. 4 minutes to go. We've got some spinnakers heading off towards the central zone, the very distinctive yellow Island Sailing Club spinnakers on the sonars, heading back to the central Solent at the moment. And the sonars, of course, biggest fleet for more than a decade here at Cows Week, because it is their UK National Championship.
Oh, is that what? That'll explain why they've all got brand new sails on.
At Cows Week. So yes, we keep a very particularly close eye on the sonars, but all of the yellow spinnakers there with the black castle on are, I'll guess, I should think, are the Island Sailing Club ones. We've got some Victory spinnakers popping up now. I'm going to look out for the Welsh Dragon, because there is a Welsh Dragon spinnaker in the Victories, but I can see it looks like the leading one is 71, which is a white and green spinnaker on that Victory. They had a good start on Christina, didn't they? 71. Looks like they're leading. 80 Shearwater, yellow spinnaker following, and then 74 with a bird of prey. That's got to be Peregrine, hasn't it? So yeah, it looks like 71 Christina leading on that run for the Victories. Two minutes and 15 seconds until the start of the XODs get underway. Matt Sheehan out on the B&G Instruments commentary rib with all sorts of tech out there. What are you looking at the moment?
I am looking at the wind speed.
You've got wind speed as well.
Yeah, it's very different. It's looking at the wind speed plot, which has been pretty steady around 8 knots, and so it's fairly light. And I was just looking at, we found ourselves in the middle of the XOD fleet, and there's lots of them, although not as many as we've seen before. But interesting that this fleet, with a minute and a half to go, they're now just setting themselves up on the line. But the bulk of the fleet had actually sailed quite a long way upwind to go and have a look at conditions and get a feeler for what was going on. And we haven't seen that much in the other fleets. They've tended to be milling around the line, but these might be very old, traditional, beautiful, but traditional boats, but they are sailed. The fleet is incredibly competitive, with some very, very successful sailors in amongst them with 1 minute to go. And so it's not surprising, I guess, to see that they go up the first beat, have a little look at conditions, because they know in this fleet it's going to be very hard to carve out a good position off this start line, so much so that we're just lining ourselves up on the lights the transit lights of the squadron to just see who's going to be cheeky and who's going to behave. We'd actually be on the naughty step if we started from here because we're over the line. But which is interesting because now we're seeing quite a few of the XODs in the middle of the fleet ducking back behind the line. There's a few of them that are over at the moment. 165, 51. Looks like they're over. 192's way over at the moment.
Yeah, 165 heading back there. That was Tortoise. 192 heading down towards the squadron now. Felix.
There's going to be a few recalls here.
General recall.
Yeah, I thought so. Big bulge in the line as everybody tried to get themselves into position there.
Well, it wouldn't be Cows Week without general recall, would it? So,
no, what better a time to do a general recall when there's no other class behind you, so you've got no one else to upset.
So,
It always makes me laugh. Well, it doesn't make me laugh when I'm racing and it happens, but you can just imagine the race officer saying, well, it's your own time you're wasting. We're going to do it all over again.
Now, looking over the Squib Spinnaker run, it looks like a pink Spinnaker leading there, 142 Squiggle. You might have time to look at them, but very close racing there in the Squibs. Squibble, I think, is the pink Spinnaker of 142. And then it's an AQL blue Spinnaker on the one that's following. Lots of AQL Spinnakers in that class as the XODs prepare for another start on day one of the regatta.
Not wishing to waste a good start. It's just another mark of just how competitive this fleet is. They all know it's a general recall, but they've carried on with the start to just use it as a practice run just to see how it would have panned out and just to get some more hints and tips about how best to start this race.
So they all come back and have another start.
Oh, here comes our drone into land again.
Oh, I can hear it.
Yeah, I might just get a haircut whilst it's coming in, actually. It just sort of... He flies it so accurately, I'm sure he could give me a short back and sides. And it's back safely on the rib.
Does it automatically home itself in? Or
No, not looking at the level of stress on Richard's face. No, I think it does anything other than automatically find its way home. Of course, there's lots of stories from photographers and camera people about drones that have where people have forgotten to switch off the send to home function if it runs out of range, where home is set somewhere in southwest London.
Oh, right. Yes. Bit of an issue. Well, the general recall flag being flown from our friends on Running Bear, the committee vessel for the squadron and Cows Combined Clubs. They are just letting all the experts, well, I think all the experts do know, but just to be sure. There's a few just still quite a way from the line, but they're heading back. Possibly restarting at 1:05, but first sub is coming down soon, so perhaps restarting at 1:05 for the XOD class. We've got the Squibs going past on their Spinnaker run in the background, and beyond that the Red Funnel Ferry. We've got the Royal Navy with us this week, Matt. HMS Ledbury. HMS Ledbury, the minesweeper, is moored in Cowes Roads. Obviously, very strong association with Cowes Week and the Royal Yacht Squadron.
What, minesweeping?
The Royal Navy here. I don't think they're actually minesweeping the Solent, but you never know. You never know.
There was. Actually, funny you should say that. We were out, was it yesterday? No, not yesterday. Day before yesterday. We were just testing some of the new B&G instruments after they've been installed. There's 1 minute to go until they're... Is that right? Yes.
First substitute removed.
Okay, so they're not in sequence totally yet. So we were just testing equipment the other day, and on channel 16 there was a security announcement, and went over onto channel 12 and they're saying there will be a controlled explosion in the Forley area at such and such a time. Crikey, controlled explosion. I'm glad I heard that. It sounded like the world was about to come to an end and they were blowing up the boilers, apparently, of the old Forley power station. But that must have given people a bit of a fright.
Oh, the chimney's coming down at some point.
It is. We're all going to completely lose our bearings when that happens.
That will be weird, actually, won't it?
Having moaned about it for the best part of 30 years as always getting into the back of photographs, we're now going to moan about it not being there. Well,
Right.
I am anyway.
Here we go. That's the 5-minute warning signal for the XODs for their second start. So they will be starting at 1:05. And we will, of course, have commentary here on Cows Live 87.9 FM. It is Britain's longest running special event radio station, back in the mists of time. Every big event's got their own radio station now. Glastonbury, Wimbledon, the British Grand Prix, all sorts of events have got their own radio station. But the longest running one is right here at Cows. And we're very pleased about that. I'm very pleased that we're back this year after the COVID break of 2020. It's Simon Viger here at the Royal Yacht Squadron. Matt Sheehan is out on the B&G Instruments commentary rib, and it'll be a 4-minute preparatory signal for the XODs, who are all quite split up at the moment, Matt.
They are. This is interesting. I mean, there is still 4 minutes to go, but yeah, that was the 4-minute gun. Yeah, interesting that they're all fairly spread out. I wonder if we're going to see slightly less bunching on the line. The breeze has increased further out from the shore. That's looking at my brand new lovely Nemesis plotter. We're now looking at 10 knots of breeze out here, and I don't think there's 10 knots of breeze down at your end of the line. And I think that there's there's split opinion basically. There's a group of boats that have decided that nope, the inner end of the line is still the best place to start, and there's a breakaway group out here that are looking at that breeze, and I think they've got good reason to, looking outwind thinking that breeze is going to stay for a while, and there's definitely more out here than there is inshore.
Looks like it's a blue spinnaker leading the Mermaid class on their run back to the middle. I think it's a blue spinnaker leading the Seaview Mermaids, followed by a black one and a red and white one.
And a blue spinnaker leading the Daring Fleet. There seems to be a message there. If you want to lead, buy a blue spinnaker.
Yeah, I reckon that's Dauntless. I'm sure they had one before. But we will get, obviously, confirmation of the results as they come in this afternoon with Chris Carnegie, who will be at the new... Have you seen the new studio, Matt?
I have.
Well, it's very posh.
It is
posh.
Lots of screens, lots of buttons, lots of stuff I just don't understand.
The results service with Chris, sponsored by Hamble Yacht Services. And actually it's the first time our studio crew have had a sea view in about 25 years. They've been stuck away in various broom cupboards, and well, I think the studio at Northern House was fantastic. Definitely not a broom cupboard, and with a lovely view, but not a sea view.
Of course, now we're going to discover whether they can really concentrate, or whether we put them in a room with no windows for their own good.
That was the worst one. There was one year, literally, it was a room with no windows at all. Not pleasant. But anyway, we've moved around a fair bit over the last few, how many years is it? 35 years. We've moved around a bit. Well, I reckon the last time the studio had a sea view was when we were in a porter cabin down here on the Esplanade. That was 1 year or 2 years we were down there. So the XOD is a minute 20 away from their start. 192, varnished hull of Phoenix, closest to the line. In fact, there are 3 varnished hulls, 174 as well, with a jib flapping on Foxglove.
Just getting ourselves up onto the line. So with 1 minute to go, the fleet looking a bit more disciplined this time around. They're hanging back from the line. They're spread out along the line a lot more than they were in the last start. We're just getting up onto the line, and they're probably a good 4 or 5 boat lengths off the line.
186 is Phoenix, but yeah, we've got a trio of lovely varnished hull XODs, natural wood,
I haven't read their sailing instructions. I don't know if there's a facility to make this a black flag start. So if you're over the line, you're disqualified. I'm not really sure.
Oh, there is a definite for all classes. They can do that, can't they? But they haven't done it this time, I don't think. Anyway,
the boat that's looking to run the most risk at the moment is 7-4, who's closest to the line. If they can pull that off with, I reckon they can. They've got 10 seconds to go. Put the bow down, accelerate. You're closest to the line.
That's Fiona.
Yeah, and they do that coming up to the start.
All clear, so a good start for Fiona, but a better start actually for 98. Closer to the squadron is Waxwing. Fiona's had a good start, 48. The white hull of Etchells will probably have to tack first, and then further up the line we've got 82 has had a good start. Magic Dragon, who have you got, Matt?
We've got looking good at this end. We've got 186 that probably Phoenix, and 192 is probably the two boats at this end of the line that look good.
Felix is 192, but 98 had a good start down here. That's Waxwing, dark red hull. Just behind them, the yellow hull of 123 is Lara. 74's gone about, 46 Fiona's gone about, but Waxwing is still heading in on starboard towards the beach. 123 has tacked Lara, and now Waxwing tacks. Fiona goes back onto starboard. Sorry, Etchells goes back onto starboard. So the tacking battle continues up the beach here. So the XOD's spread out already.
Yeah, Waxwing got a fantastic start off the line. They sort of almost came from nowhere. They just accelerated as the gun went. A perfectly executed start. Came off the line with speed and accelerated even further. Got their nose out in front, got clear air, got to the beach first, tacked over, had clear air, had no problem coming out. They had no starboard boats coming at them. And now they're into a really nice patch of breeze that's just built up, that's sweeping down this shoreline. And it's shifted to the left as well. So they've been lifted on port. And that's meant that they've just crossed in front of 123, and they've crossed clearly in front of 74, so they have no one to trouble them at all. A perfectly executed start from a very tight situation down at that committee boat, down at the squadron end of the line. Having said that, they've just tacked over. 123 has now gone in towards the beach, and they're just about to roll over onto port to come out from the beach. They could well force 98. No, they haven't. They're going to have to go behind their stern. So 98 still leading the fleet, but really close between them and 123.
That's Waxwing and Lara.
Lara's owned by, do we know who they...
I'll get back to you on that.
Is that the golden one? I do remember from 2 years ago there's a golden coloured one. I've got a feeling it's Lara. Anyway, 98, a Waxwing and Lara coming out on port tack. The other boat that's doing very well, keeping their nose clean and staying away from the pack, is 50, light blue coloured 50. It's done very well, just rolled into attack. They're currently lying fourth.
Excitation,
so currently lying fifth. Actually, they're going to have to, is that fifth? No, that would be fourth. They crossed in front of 18.
Lara is William McNeil and Andrew
I thought it was William McNeil from Poole. Right, so there's no great surprise to see him out the front of the fleet. He's a regular, and he's been sailing this X for a long time, and he's a very, very good sailor. And the breeze has picked up quite significantly, actually, around this corner. The lead boats are really able to capitalise on that, because first of all they got the new breeze first before the rest of the fleet, and it was nice and clean and not chewed up. And funny enough, the general recall and the delay has meant that there's no other class upwind of this fleet. So the breeze is as clean and steady as you could possibly wish for. And you'd always want to be at the front of a fleet, but this is where the rich get richer. If you can get your nose out in front and stay in front, you are going to gain on the rest of the fleet, who are going to struggle trying to fight their way through their own competitors' dirty air and the rest of it. But it looks like to me that Lara has William McNeil has actually taken the lead now. Yep, he's gone across the front of 98. Both of them have tacked over onto port, and it's now Willie McNeil in Lara 123 that is leading. I'd say 98 was second, and 50 has just tacked over onto starboard, going back into the beach, is currently in third. And those three have really stretched out quite a distance over the rest of the fleet, even just in the 5 minutes that they've been sailing so far.
So the XODs are away, our final starters after a general recall, and they head off to the west. But coming back to the central zone, lots of lovely colourful spinnakers in the Seaview Mermaids. We've seen the spinnakers of the Sonars and the Flying 15s and the Darings and the other classes. So they're coming back, but all these classes starting off heading to the west and then coming back to the central Solent. Lots of the finishers here at the squadron will be at about 2:30, and indeed the breakwater finish line for White Group. And that is the starters away. We have lots of blue sky now in the central zone. It does look to be some. I can see some darker clouds down there.
I was just about to say,
are they going to get us?
I hope you haven't given that coat back, because give it 20 minutes and
no.
you'll need it.
Okay, well, I've learned my lesson.
You said that last
I know.
2 years ago.
I will bring my jacket tomorrow.
It's absolutely chucking it down over Lymington, out towards the west, and over the New Forest. In fact, over pretty much all of the New Forest, it is currently raining. That will head this way, but not for 20 minutes or so. But interesting that the breeze has built up just now, because there really is not much in the way of cloud features around us, and that shower out there, I think, is too far away to be producing this breeze at the moment. But anyway, it is going to be a big feature of what happens throughout the day. As we said right from the start, as Fiona was pointing out in the weather forecasts today, this is a day of occasional showers, and with those showers comes breeze.
Now, one of the most popular competitions on the station here at Cowes Live is, of course, the Chatham Shoes daily giveaway. Did you hear what the anagram is?
I didn't know.
Right, the anagram today is Darned Gurgle. Darned Gurgle. What's the cryptic Solent clue there? You can email us studio@cowsradio.co.uk, studio@cowsradio.co.uk, Darned Gurgle.
Is that an anagram for Vigar's My Favourite?
No.
No, I didn't think so. I knew it was pretty unlikely.
Oh, dearie me, day one. Started already. Come on, man. Be nice. Play nice.
I thought that was playing nicely.
It's a very popular competition, as you know, and we'll have lots of entries for that, and we will pick out a winner later on from the digital hat. I'm not sure how it's done. It may be a Chatham box, actually. That would be
digital
wise,
hat. There's a thought.
Yeah. No, I think a box, a shoe box would be good, wouldn't it?
Digital
Chris
shoe
and Roger
box.
can work that out. That's the anagram today, and every day in the breakfast show, Roger Price will give you that day's anagram, the cryptic Solent anagram. If you can work it out, then send in the answer to studio@cowsradio.co.uk, and you will, if it's correct, you will go in the hat. Daily giveaway here with Chatham Shoes. Right, where are you heading off to now?
Right, I was just looking around to see where the action is. I think what we'll do is we will move ourselves westward a bit. I actually forgot to memorise what the course was for the XODs. Do you have that to hand? What's their first mark?
Their first mark is East Bay.
And remind me which East Bay is, because that's a new name for a traditional, for a mark, I'm sure, that we've...
Yeah. East Bay.
I guess it's
my
in
soggy
Gurnard,
nose. It's close to the island. Well, it's just round the corner, really.
Okay.
They're just following the shore round, and it's very close to the coast. And then the mark after that is Hamble Yacht Services, which is, well, that will bring them back towards Hamble, won't it? Hamble Campbell Yacht Services. Yes, Campbell Yacht Services is east of Hill Head Mark.
Oh, okay, right. So so they basically go around the corner to Gurnard,
Yeah,
and then they head over towards the mainland.
which is what we've seen the other
Yes, indeed.
white group
Thought that
classes
sounded
do.
familiar.
Right.
So we'll go and have a little snoop up there. The only slight hesitation I've got is that we know from experience that there's a bit of a dead patch around Gurnard. So we'll work our way up there, as in dead patch in the radio.
Yes, well, we'll see how far you can go. And in the meantime, we will get the latest sailing forecast. Cows Live and the Cows event TV pictures will come back together tomorrow for the start sequence. Of course, all the results here on Cows Live and the cowsweek.co.uk website. But for the rest of the day, we part company. But we'll come back together tomorrow. But before the parting of the ways, we'll have the latest sailing forecast with Fiona Campbell.
The weather brought to you by 7-Star Yacht Transport, worldwide leader in yacht transport.
Good afternoon. A good mix of sunshine and showers now. Not so many showers for the rest of racing, but there are still just one or two coming down, which does give great variability to both wind speed and wind direction. Across the Solent, where all the races are, we are seeing around 10 to 12 knots. It's occasionally picking up more towards 14, especially those who are further down the Western Solent, where some of this stronger gradient from above is finally managing to mix down to the surface. There's not a great deal of heating over the mainland. Temperatures there are only around 19 degrees, so not expecting too much thermal enhancement this afternoon. But there will be further spells of sunshine in between this variable cloud. You can see they're lining up into cloud streets now, giving some wind shifts around those locally. West-southwesterly wind ranging from around 10 to 14 knots. Fiona Campbell, Cows Live.
The weather brought to you by 7-Star Yacht Transport, worldwide leader in yacht transport.